The best part about having serialized this coverage of the Painscreek killings is that we got all the boring introductory stuff out of the way in part 1. That means we've only got a couple minutes of housekeeping to do before we can jump right back into the investigation. The first order of business is that I can tell you right now that this will be both the messiest and longest of our 3 episodes covering this game. Not because of anything our heroes do wrong, but because it's the middle of a non-linear 3-act story. That means there's potential for detectives to both backtrack into Act 1 and overachieve into Act 2. People are going to get stumped, people are going to finish early, people are going to take a 6-week break in between episodes and forget the names of the characters. It happens, that's okay. True to the authentic experience, it is my scientific obligation to show you all of this. The second thing on the docket tonight is that we have now moved into the part of the Painscreek killings where the player is starting to notice that S in the title. By the end of Act 1, it has become apparent that there was more than one unsolved murder in this town. And murders aside, there are still plenty of other mysteries which need solving. So, with the help of my illustrator, with whom I have a strictly professional relationship, I have convened a mystery board. This is where we'll put all of the mysteries that a player is bound to come across in Painscreek, and we will also keep a separate board for each player. Everyone's board will vary slightly, but as of right now, the mysteries we can expect to see are as follows. Who are Scott Brooks' parents? Who is the unmarked grave? Why did Andrew Reed kill himself? Who killed Dr. Henry Johnson? Who is the woman in this photo? And, of course, who killed Vivian Roberts? Questions will be added to this board as our investigators ask them. And whenever someone comes up with an answer to one of these questions, I will be confirming or denying whether or not they are correct. As such, please do note that there is a severe spoiler warning for every question on this board. Recapping Act 1 could very quickly get out of hand and become super long, so I'll just operate under the assumption that you're familiar with past events, and then give you the briefest of reintroductions to our heroes. This is Bardic Jen, the mystery-solving prodigy. Jen has virtually 100%ed Act 1, and was the only one of our detectives who managed to clock this anonymous woman as Sophia, a woman who was once a maid and is now a ghost who haunts the town. This is Hedge Witch Wren, who has played roughly 85% of Act 1. In her experience, she found everything but House 7 on Black Pine Road, Scott's bedroom, and the other zones which Scott's bedroom can unlock. I remind you that Wren is live streaming this game, and has an active chat who have been simultaneously assisting and impeding her investigation. This is Vote for Holt, otherwise known as me. I have played close to 80% of the Act 1 content, and whereas I have found Scott's bedroom and House 7 on Black Pine Road, I have not gone into Wanda's house and Bernard's house like Wren did. This puts Wren just barely ahead of me, though both of us are equally clueless as to who the killer is. And finally, this is Character Select. Dave and Tyler, the dastardly duo The Hunch Bunch. They played a very efficient Act 1, and in so doing, they only played about 55% of the discoverable content. The two of them are yet to visit Andrew's house, Wanda's house, Bernard's house, and the hospital, and they also still haven't opened Scott's safe and all the subsequent things that you find inside it. Oh, and before I forget, after Act 1, Dave and Tyler actually sent me an email containing their chibis, little sprites of them that their friend Lisa the Luxter made. Now that I've got my hands on them, these little guys will replace the antiquated Hunch Bunch watermark that Kaylee illustrated. You guys are still getting called the Hunch Bunch, though. I hope you know that. Now let's have that Act 2 preview. Act 2 is what I would describe as a pinball chapter, requiring the player to bounce back and forth between locations. Obviously, it begins with the player following up on the security room code that they were just given, and from there they will find many keys to open up the rest of the mansion. Of the many rooms which will then be opened, Trisha's is the most important. Inside, they will find the key to the hunting cabin, as well as a locked drawer containing other vital keys for the chapter. From the mansion, players must then go to the cabin way down south, where they will find several keys which send them to the church to open some boxes and doors. Then inside the church, they will be provided with the key to the cabin's basement. Then in the cabin's basement, they will find a secret compartment which requires a special crucifix key to open, and this key can be found in Trisha's locked nightside drawer at the mansion, requiring a key found in the shed out back, which, of course, requires the player to have opened Scott's safe in the church. In short, to finish Act 2, the players must open Scott's safe and follow the subplot that it sets up, something that Jen already did in Act 1. In a sense, Jen has just started Act 2 and is already halfway done with it. Much like Act 1, for every step of mandatory progression on this path, there are 2 or more side steps one can take to find other clues off the beaten trail. Plenty of room for player freedom, plenty of ways to get lost. And while many of the little quirks of this chapter will reveal themselves as we go along, I feel encouraged to remind you all about the box. As you may recall, this box was discovered by 2 of our 4 detectives, and the code to this box was discovered by one of the other 2. Nobody has successfully opened this box yet, and they aren't supposed to until Act 3. However, the likelihood of opening this box early remains a constant threat to the investigation, as the contents are an absolute pipeline to identifying the killer. And that's about it. Please know that I greatly appreciate all of your feedback on Part 1, and that many of your comments have improved the still half-formed process. Now let's get back into the mystery. We're in the town square, right outside the inn, and we've just broken into Stephen Moss's car. Let the investigation continue in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, that's the ghost girl that I was calling Sophia.
Why is there a bloody handprint on the inside of your car, Mr. Moss?
Immediately after inspecting Stephen's belongings, people are beginning to notice the bloody handprint on the dashboard.
That is a problem. He was investigating the case, and somebody didn't like that, so he got murdered, which is why he didn't pay his rent in the hotel.
Thank you for your help, Mr. F. You're always an inspiration. While 3 of our 4 detectives have left for the mansion, Jen hangs back at the car for a minute, examining the anonymous letter that was sent to hire the investigator, Stephen. Totally unprompted, she then begins to pull up other written documents from her inventory and begins inspecting them closely. She's trying to identify who hired the private investigator by cross-referencing handwriting.
Yeah, I don't have any handwriting that matches this at the moment.
That is some damn thorough detective work. In the wake of this lead, Jen is now pursuing a mystery that no one else is. Who hired Stephen Moss? The nice thing about these little act break bottlenecks is that it actually provides us with a little reprieve from the craziness by putting all of our investigators in the same place at the same time. They've all just been given the code to the Roberts Mansion security room, which will ultimately open up the remaining half of the mansion. Alright, what's in here? A gun, I hope?
Shut that. What?
Excellent.
Tea room? Trissa's room? Nanny room? Holy shit, this is the jackpot. Oh, this is Bernard. Why does he look like Mads Mikkelsen?
There's his address, 31 Silver Lake Boulevard. He lived in town, staff and house management. Oh, we've got things for everyone in here. While the ladies sift through the employee records, Tyler and Dave have found a security logbook on the other side of the room and begin reading the many entries aloud.
April 6th, I came across a note by Magdalene Roberts stuck between one of the old logbooks. It was requesting the search of a missing security tape dated June 28, 1975. Same tape was never found. We have a new security guard coming in today. His name is Samuel Green. Tom Parker will be his mentor to get him up to speed.
That seems important.
It's not. Hardworking and trusted by Vivian Roberts. Sounds like they didn't know about his history.
7 Black Pine. I had a code for that, or a key for that.
Then, on the last page of the employee records, the player is met with a delicious morsel of misdirection. The most recent hire that the Roberts made, Mary Martinez, does not yet have a picture on file. Just 5 minutes ago, the player was shown a photo of an unnamed woman in Stephen's car, and now they've been made aware of an unpictured woman in the security room. The truth is that Mary is a nobody, but the developers are now trying to subconsciously suggest that she might be the woman in this photo.
I wonder if Mary is the one in that photo that the PI had.
And it looks like it's working. And there's no photo on file for her. Okay, I think the biggest takeaway from that was probably that Mary used to work at Moon Cafe. That is completely irrelevant. Tyler and Dave have just found the final and most important entry in the logbook. A bizarre story that made its way around Painscreek about a young girl who got lost while trick-or-treating.
Apparently, she followed some fireflies in the woods and could not get back home. Her parents called the sheriff. They conducted a search but could not find her. 2 hours later, Stephanie got home safe and sound. They asked how she found her way back, and Stephanie said a young lady found her crying and brought her back.
She didn't know the lady's name, but remembered her being pretty and having long black hair. She was wearing a black dress similar to what the mansion maids wear at work. I think that might be Sophia.
Strange thing is that when I asked around, all the maids said they were working that evening. Huh.
What if it's like one of those things where one of the maids is like actually the woman's daughter or something?
Maybe.
She was wearing a black dress, similar to what the mansion's maid wears at work. The strange thing is that when I asked around, all the maids said that they were working that evening. Thinking. One of the maids could be lying, or someone could have an alternate maid's outfit. Not sure what they'd be doing with the maid's outfit if they're not actually being a maid. Okay, my point is I think that Mary Martinez might be the lady that we saw in the picture, the new maid. This is some damn fine misdirection. Good job, EQ. Give yourselves a pat on the back. Already, half of our detectives suspect that the woman in this photo is Mary Martinez, and another one has a crazy theory that Vivian had a secret daughter who was employed as a maid. Not sure where you got that from, Tyler, but rock on. Everyone made off with the 3 most important finds in this room, and that would be the 3 keys hanging on the wall. These 3 keys unlock 3 rooms, and from those 3 rooms, 2 more can be opened. Everyone immediately scrambles in different directions to get these doors open, which is an absolute dizzying headache to cover. So I've gone and rearranged the footage so that we can instead watch all 4 take on each room at the same time. First up to bat is the nanny room, where Dorothy Patterson stayed. Dorothy was the old lady nanny who was sometimes more of a mother to Tricia than Vivian was. Reading into her confidential diaries, though, the player is now learning that way back in the 70s, she was just as much of a mother figure to a young woman who the Roberts hired. That would be Sophia.
There's a newly hired maid named Sophia. I think Matthew recommended her, saying she's his cousin. She's very pretty and has good manners.
Matthew sometimes comes over and checks to see if Sophia is doing okay. I tell him he's worrying too much, that Sophia is loved by all. Matthew seems pleased every time I say this. If I didn't know better, I'd think that Matthew liked her. That would be Father Matthew.
Already, there are strange discrepancies in Sophia's story. If I didn't know better, I'd think that Matthew liked her. Excuse me, did you say that Matthew is, her cousin?
It rained heavily today. Sophia and I were having our tea break when she asked me, "What does it feel like to be loved?"
I said, well, it's like the feeling you get when you are with your parents. She was quiet for a moment and replied, it's hard for me to imagine because I don't have parents. I didn't know what to say, but after the break was over, I decided to make effort to care for her more. It seems that Sophia was once an orphan too, and she was in some way connected to Matthew Brooks, who later went on to become the priest. This revelation elicits a new theory from me. But the dates in this are important. This is 1973. Hang on. Did Father Matthew have another orphan that he adopted before Scott? Is this the same Matthew we're talking about? Because that's pretty suspicious. How come we've never heard about her since? Alright, humor me, Mystery Board. Was Sophia Father Brooks's first adopted child? No, not even close.
I visited Andrew at the hospital today. He seemed different. He looked calm, as if he had somehow managed to find peace within himself. Attending nurse said Scott has been here almost every day, taking care of him and being with him.
Andrew's been talking a lot with Scott. I bet Andrew's told Scott some shit. That's why Scott started asking questions. Scott came to fix my leaking sink today. He did a wonderful job. I offered him tea, and we talked quite a bit, mostly about Charles and Vivian. I showed him my old photo album.
To my surprise, Scott became very quiet. Asked me if he could borrow one of the photographs. I don't see why not. He thanked me and left in a hurry. That's important. That's really important. According to this journal, Scott found a photo in Dorothy's photo album that was in some way important to him. For one reason or another, he took it.
How much do you want to bet that's the picture that Andrew took? Or, Scott took?
It's entirely possible because there's no other picture that's like really that relevant, so it's like, who is that?
Right.
And then at the end of this journal, Ren begins to learn for the very first time about what befell Andrew Reed.
Ironic how that Andrew died shortly after being saved. Only I had called. He died in a fire accident. Died in a fire after being saved. Saved like religiously?
Fire accident. Okay. Accident is different from suicide, which is what we had previously anticipated it being. The last thing of interest in the nanny room is found on this desk in the corner. It's a letter of resignation sent from Dorothy to Charles. The letter was written a year after the titular killings occurred, confirming that both Charles and Dorothy were still alive at the time. In it, Dorothy talks about cherished memories and how much Vivian and Trisha meant to her, both of whom are now dead now, by some device or another. But more important than the contents of this letter, there is a latent clue about it. One that I don't think anyone will pick up on just yet. But
I think Dorothy wrote this letter.
you have plot armor. You have actual plot armor that just solves all the mysteries for you, Jen, I swear. The second room which we will be looking at is the sparsely decorated tea room.
1 fork.
Immediately, Jen recognizes this clock on the wall that she knows is really a hidden safe. Last episode, she found its instruction manual in the attic. But unfortunately, she's still missing some components needed to open it.
I need the key. Then I need to put it to tea time. I don't know what time tea time is.
Vivian Roberts' diary. Vivian Roberts' diary? Ooh! This is what we've been waiting for. Oh my god, and it goes all the way back to 1972. This could take a minute.
Vivian's diary here doesn't contain any major leads, as it mostly just talks about her marriage with Charles back when they were still in the honeymoon phase. But there is an insightful entry of hers where she first mentions her relationship with Charles' mother, Magdalene. In a word, it sounds strained.
Magdalene is coming. What should I do? She's always asking when we'll be having kids. Magdalene, I think that's Charles's mom.
I don't think I'm ready yet, not when I'm still recovering from the miscarriage. Oh, we did not hear about that previously. That deserves to be written down.
Inside her desk, there is a drawer full of hate mail, like how Mary said, and then in another drawer, there is a moderate bombshell for the case. It's a letter from a PI that Vivian hired to investigate her friend and colleague, Dr. Henry Johnson.
Nelson and Brown investigation. Investigation on Painscreek Community Hospital donation funds. Our latest investigation shows that Dr. Henry Johnson has been embezzling funds from the Roberts Relief Foundation. As of now, the total amount embezzled nears $160,000.
Henry Johnson has been embezzling funds.
So, looks like our anonymous source is not the only one in this town who is fond of private investigators. Vivian hired one herself. So she must have had some misgivings about Dr. Johnson to go ahead and do that.
But she found that out in 93.
So what if she killed Roberts?
2 years later?
I mean, I don't know.
Can I see Vivian killed Henry Johnson for embezzling funds? Nope, not quite. The Clue crew also finds another key in here. It opens the master bedroom downstairs, which we will get into in due time. Before that, though, we have to open Trisha's room. The only one of these 5 rooms that is really and truly mandatory to completing the act.
I believe this is Trisha's room.
And the drawer is locked.
It has a locked drawer.
Birdcage is definitely not a symbolism or anything.
Study room code. Ayo. Sometimes I wonder if Mom loves me. Maybe I should call Dorothy Mother instead. Oh. Poor little girl. Cabin key.
Well, we found the way into the cabin. We just gotta figure out where the cabin is now.
Is that... It just clicked. That's where, Scott has been staying.
Oh, unfortunately, Tyler and Dave did not notice the cabin key right here.
Patricia did have a spare key to the cabin.
Ooh, and it looks like Jen just missed it too. She was literally talking about how Trisha had a key to the cabin when she looked right past the key to the cabin. This means that, as of right now, Ren and myself are the only people able to visit the hunting cabin, the place where Scott Brooks was staying.
I think Scott and Trisha were Oh, they were totally fucking in that cabin, 100%.
Ren, didn't you and Cetragale both come up with a theory last time that they were siblings? The final find in Trisha's room is of no use to 3 of our detectives, her locked nightside drawer.
Hey, a dresser drawer with a lock on it. Could this be the cause of the exquisite key? Okay, no. It'd be kind of fucked up if the mom had a key to her daughter's drawer.
But Jen, as you will recall, managed to gnaw through a sizable side quest in Act 1, which ended with her opening the shed out back and obtaining the key to this drawer. As such, she and she alone has the privilege of cracking it open and finding the following. This cross is one of the keys required to complete this chapter.
Please hold on to this. Someday I will tell you everything. Key to the cabin? Key to Dorothy's. I will take that.
And finally, this diary of Trisha's provides some scandalous information.
94. Mom is so judgmental. She doesn't want me to be near Scott, saying that I should find someone who is of the same class as me. Did Mom talk to Father Matthew? Is that why Father Matthew also forbade us from seeing each other? Don't they know we're in love? Last night, Scott and Father Matthew had a big fight. Father Matthew told him to stop seeing me again. I asked Scott why, but he didn't know the reason. I feel so miserable. Scott asked if I had a younger brother named Vincent. I didn't. He told me that it was probably just a rumor, but wanted to be sure about it. At dinner, I asked my mom if I ever had a younger brother named Vincent. She stared at me and said no. She then asked where I got the name from. When I said Scott, she told me dinner's over. I argued with her. She yelled and sent me to my room. Later, I heard her arguing with Dad. You're a 20-year-old woman. They can't send you to your room.
This journal is the first time in the game that the character Vincent Roberts has been mentioned, the rumored younger brother of Trisha, whom everyone denies the existence of. And also, this seems like as good a time as any to bring up the Mrs. Patterson spare key debacle. In Act 1, everyone heard this voicemail at the inn where the crusty, clammy old man Oliver Gibson states that a toolbox and shovel can be found in his photo lab, and that a spare key in his photo lab can be found with Mrs. Patterson. As of right now, everyone is still asking around about who Mrs. Patterson is, when it's Dorothy. Dorothy is Mrs. Patterson. Everyone has been told that Dorothy is Mrs. Patterson, but no one seems to have actually realized it. This isn't really important, since you can't get your key until Act 3, but I can't help but point this out because everyone keeps on asking about Mrs. Patterson's spare key, but doesn't realize that she's Dorothy.
Excuse me? Is that how shadows are supposed to work? Should there be a shadow of... Oh, God. It was the railing. Okay. My bad.
And just like that, we have now used all 3 keys found in the security room. In our searches, we have found another key to the master bedroom, as well as a key code to Charles's study. We will check out both of these now in that order. Inside the master bedroom, our fearless heroes find the most suspicious diary from Vivian yet.
Monday, January 2nd, 1994.
I was shocked to learn that Scott had been asking around about Sophia. How did he know about Sophia? Who could have told him? It must have been Andrew.
I told him Sophia is gone. Those hallucinations of his getting worse. He needs to see Henry and get more pills.
I need to have Bernard keep an eye on Scott. From now on, I'll try and see who he talks to, who he asks.
Scott, who is Father Brooks's adopted son, has been asking around about Sophia, who we now believe to be Father Matthew's previous adopted something. He claimed that she was his cousin, but she later went on to say she didn't have any parents, which didn't exactly rub me the right way.
Interesting.
She's getting upset about that Sophia person. Uh-oh.
Did you just fucking glitch yourself into an unwinnable state?
Yeah.
While Tyler and Dave reload the save, the rest of our investigators all find something in the corner that I don't think anyone was expecting to see here.
Oh, a wind-up key for something? 201, hey baby!
Oh.
Why is that here?
The key to Steven's room.
All right, we got key room 201 at the inn.
That's where the detective was staying.
Right. He dropped his key here.
And then was murdered. And made it back to his car, where he could put a bloody handprint on his dashboard.
And finally, I've saved the study room for last because it contains an honest-to-God secret passageway behind the bookshelf. There's some information inside which would currently serve as a bombshell to most, if not all, of our investigators, so I'm really pumped to see who can figure it out.
Yes! Give me all your secrets.
First thing we find here is a medical report of Vivian's hospital stay post-miscarriage.
Vivian's situation is stabilizing. She's accepted the fact she cannot conceive anymore. However, she needs time to fully recover.
Your mother's desire for a boy to be an heir to your family has caused tremendous strain on her. So Charles's mother was harassing Vivian to have a boy to be the heir.
Youch. That is some fucking medieval shit, Magdalene.
Pick up. 2. It's a chess piece with a 2 on it?
Another chess piece has just been found. For some, this is the first one uncovered. And a closer look at Charles's locked desk teaches the player what these chess pieces will ultimately be used for.
Wait, hang on. Aha! King, queen, bishop, king? Wait, what?
It's a bit of a clunky design here, being as king and knight both begin with K, but there are worse puzzles.
Illustrated medical history? What?
Sorry, why am I picking that up?
Ooh, Tyler and Dave have just picked up the key to the secret passageway, a book which, admittedly, is completely reliant on the item description to prod the player in the right direction.
Book used to unlock a puzzle. There's something written on the back. View.
Is there?
4 right, 6 left, 3 right.
Jen and I read this too and both have the same assumption.
That sounds like it'd be how you open up an old combination lock, like on a locker.
It's for like a turning padlock. I don't even think I've seen one of those.
But unfortunately, it looks like that's all we're taking away from it. That we should be looking for a combination lock. You see, to open this secret room, you have to take this book right here and put it into the bookshelf on the right. Then you have to push the 4th book from the right, the 6th book from the left, and then the 3rd book from the right, and the secret door will swing right open. But right after finding the book, everyone is leaving the study. They think they found all there is to see in here. Is no one seriously going to open this thing?
Oh, yes.
Okay. The Dave and Tyler redemption arc starts right now. This is a simple puzzle. They have all the pieces. You guys just have to press the books 14, 6, and 15 in that order.
Oh,
Oh.
sorry.
4 right.
Oh, wait, 4 from the right, so
Good.
6 from the left.
3 right.
That's it. You've got it, Tyler. It's just like Dave said. 3 from the right, book number 15. It's that book. You need to press that book.
Or is it...
No, it's not that. Push that book again. Tyler, push the book again.
What?
There you go.
Push 6 and then do the one next to it. What are you doing?
Tyler, what are you doing? Listen to Dave.
What should I push?
15, damn it.
Number 15.
What? You just undid 14. Okay, now press 14 again. Do it right now. Oh my god, Dave, take the mouse away from him right now. I'm begging you.
I think we'll just have to come back to this.
You boys just lost your damn chibi privileges. Where did I put that hunch bunch watermark? Since none of our test chimps were able to figure out the secret passage, myself included, our business at the mansion is pretty much over now. Ren, Jen, and myself all went back up to Trisha's room to use the wind-up key we found on her music box, thinking it might wind it up and open it. It doesn't, though. This key is for the clock only. But while we're here, Jen's plot armor does kick back in.
Oh, sweet.
In defense of Tyler and Dave, it is kinda difficult to recognize this as a key. And now Jen will splinter off from the pack as she goes to investigate Dorothy's house at 40 Black Pine Road. This is a key that only she has, as it was found in Trisha's drawer. Meanwhile, the junior detectives will be making a beeline to the highly anticipated Room 201 at the inn. This is the room where the private investigator was staying, before he mysteriously disappeared. And as such, there is much anticipation built about what could be in here.
Hopefully his dead body isn't here. At that point, we're calling...
Because they didn't open that... They didn't open that door, so, like... He could still be in there all these years.
Oh, thank God. There's a briefcase. Of course it's locked.
The most important thing a player will find here right now are more of Steven's Polaroids.
I was kind of expecting something immediately earth-shattering. Yep, there we go. That's it.
Sorry, what?
Is that a person? Painscreek Community Hospital. Okay. Take a picture of that. Yeah.
Great, now I'm going to be looking towards the rooftops everywhere I go.
Unfortunately, I am the only one here who has not yet mastered the esoteric detective technique of rotating objects when you inspect them.
The code is Calvin's date of birth. Interesting. We might be able to figure that out.
Code is Calvin's date of birth. Who the fuck is Calvin?
That's the chest in the confessional booth. Where can I find the key? Is this something in the church?
Oh, it's a thing on the side of his, is that on, what's his face's, room?
I don't. What room?
His room. The boy, Scott. His secret hidey hole that we weren't able to find.
Oh, right.
Tyler and Dave are convinced that this photo is of Scott's secret hidey hole in his bedroom that they learned about in Act 1 but weren't able to find. They actually were able to find it, though. It was the safe. They just couldn't get it open. Even though the Hunch Bunch has mastered the esoteric technique of rotating photographs, it seems they are yet to learn the even more esoteric technique of opening every drawer in the room. As a consequence, they miss Stephen's notepad.
Another Stephen Moss diary. Bernard Hopkins. Okay, look, he's got a profile here on every suspect. Oh, this is gonna be interesting. 31 Silver Lake Boulevard, Painscreek, NL. Father died in mine accident. He was at home the day Vivian was killed, no alibi. Interview with Dorothy, interview with Mary tomorrow, Moon Cafe. Meeting with Sheriff at the outpost at 10 a.m. on 5/11. He mentioned he wanted to show me some files.
Apart from the minor clues and observations that Stephen wrote down, the last thing in his notepad is an irresistible challenge to everyone who reads it. Even Ren, who was getting ready to call it a night.
I found a hidden panel in the inn's reception area. It's part of the counter. It's hard to pop open. The latch is placed at one of the corners. Some interesting stuff they hide in there. Okay, you know how I said I was going to be done? I have to check out that reception counter.
Just how secret is this secret compartment? It's pretty damn secret. Meanwhile, Senior Detective Bardic Jen is going to the home of Dorothy Patterson, which has been largely unremarkable.
Yes, she was a religious person, it seemed, from her room. We could tell that much.
Then she finds Dorothy's journal, where a major revelation is made unto her.
Charles asked something of me today. He asked if I would be willing to stay with Sophia. That he... Oh. Why didn't I guess this?
Even a player as highly engaged as Jen was still blindsided by the reveal that Sophia was the woman Charles had an affair with. And while this reveal isn't nearly as important of a question as who is the killer, you still get to see that realization wash over her when things begin to make sense. Good job, EQ. That one worked pretty well.
Sophia is 8 months into her pregnancy. Her belly is big now. I asked her how she felt. She told me she's happy and feels hopeful for their future. She said it would be best if the baby is a boy. I can understand why she's thinking that way, but I can't help but wonder how Vivian will feel about it all. Oof. Big oof. The little cross in the graveyard, could that be for Sophia, or could it be for her baby? For Vincent? And there's fresh flowers there.
Back at the inn, Ren's search for the hidden compartment is being dissuaded by everyone's favorite chatter, Cetrigale.
Ugh, probably need a tool to open a panel. Yeah, probably. Oh boy. Well, I think I'm gonna end it here.
And about time too. Mystery solving is hard work.
This is a very good game. I'm hella intrigued.
And Dave and Tyler, who never saw the clue about the panel behind the reception, have managed to find something else behind the counter which is still of interest to them.
7 Back Pine Road.
We used that, right? Or did we? No. We need to go use that.
7 Black Pine.
7 Black Pine Road.
Yes, after all this time, they have finally remembered that they have the key to 7 Black Pine. And now that they're actually looking for the house, they find it pretty quickly.
Is this Andrew's?
Yeah, it is. What?
Fun time awaits them in there. Jen is now in Stephen Moss's room and is poking through his Polaroids when the photo of the hidden compartment with the cross indentation jumps out at her.
I have the key. Where is this? What is this? Father died in mine accident. He was at home the day Vivian was killed, no alibi.
Then she reads about the hidden panel in the inn.
Oh, okay.
I am still looking for the hidden panel, but have taken a break to share a theory that I put together while editing the previous episode. Let's see if I might be onto something.
Painscreek is run by a cult that periodically sacrifices an orphan. Sophia was the first victim, and Scott was the second.
Okay, can I get sacrificed to a cult? Fucking moron. Even though this theory is unhinged and ridiculous, sharing it has prompted me to re-examine some of the documents I've collected where Sophia's name appears. This reread of Andrew's diary leads me to several major realizations.
Ever since Scott asked about her, I've started to see Sophia again. Why did he have to mention her? I need more pills. There we go. See? Do you see that? That means so much more to me now than it did before. Andrew had to do something horrible regarding Sophia and was traumatized for it. And then Scott started to figure out who Sophia was through a picture that was in Dorothy's scrapbook. And he asked Andrew about it, and it totally triggered Andrew's trauma, and he went into a downward spiral.
That, for the most part, is accurate. Andrew had a traumatic episode regarding Sophia, and Scott figured out who she was through a photo that Dorothy kept in a scrapbook. The rest, I won't say just yet. Ren is back in Painscreek after a day off, and is refamiliarizing herself with the case notes with the help of chat. In this process, she goes through her notes and reiterates aloud everything she knows about Sophia, and more importantly, who would have had motive to make her disappear.
One of the maids from the house wanted her to disappear, so she has a motive for killing Sophia, potentially. There's a kid named Matthew who had a crush on her, and there's also a guy named Andrew who died in a very mysterious way. He was suicidal and had a drug problem, but then right after he decided he was going to get clean, he died in a fire.
In her recap, she's even the first to make the connection that Dorothy is Mrs. Patterson.
What is there? Patterson? No, Dorothy is Patterson, yeah. Dorothy Patterson. Wow, that came out of like the ass crack of my brain.
While she is searching for the secret compartment, Jen makes a great logical deduction to help narrow down the location of the panel.
You'd think if you had a hidden panel with a hidden latch, you'd want to keep that away from your customers, right? It would be on the inside of this counter. Oh.
Hot damn. 2 minutes flat and she's found the secret panel. There's nothing too glamorous in here though, just a logbook kept by the innkeeper. It details Stephen Moss's brief stay here.
There's a private investigator in town by the name of Steve Moss. Rumor has it someone hired him to investigate Vivian's death after the police ceased their own search. It's a tragedy that Vivian's murder case was never solved. Mr. Moss came by today. He decided to question me, see if I know anything he hasn't already learned. I told him everything I legally could. When asked how his investigation went, he said something about an incident that happened in 1975, which might just be the breakthrough that he needed. After he left, I could not help but wonder if it had anything to do with the mansion maid who left Painscreek. Yeah, was that the same year that she had her kid? Is this time significant? Is this tea time?
No!
Yeah, it's been 15 minutes. I'm not finding it. Somebody please comment. Give me a hint where this stupid thing is and if I need something to open it.
Look at that. Not only have I just given up on finding the latch, but I've also just asked the comment section for a hint. Seeing as another player found this panel perfectly fine after a little bit of focused searching, it's pretty clear that this is bad detective work on my part, not bad game design.
A fire safe. Ooh.
But it's open.
Dave and Tyler are conducting a thorough search of House 7 and trying to make sense of the strange things they find here.
I've been saving my money in Plan 2.
Then what, he died and somebody put the letter in the fire safe and lit the house on fire?
I don't think so. I think it was like one of those things that he started writing and never actually had the courage to send it.
That's a really weird thing to put in your safe.
Not really.
Oh,
maybe take a picture of that.
When they find the candles upstairs, they take on a new theory as to how he could have died.
yeah, it looks like paper.
I mean, he did have hallucinations.
So maybe he was like trying to like exorcise a demon or something and then lit himself on fire?
Here's her diary, let's find out. Did I see her again? How can that be? Why doesn't the medication work anymore? Did he give me cheap pills? No, that can't be. He's as guilty as I am. We're all in it together. He cannot abandon me. They cannot abandon me.
Okay, so the doctor's dead and is apparently in on this. This guy's dead.
He's apparently in on this.
So this is all tied around this Sophia woman.
Ever since Scott asked about her, I've started to see Sophia again. Why did he have to mention her? I need more pills. I think I'm going crazy. Oh Lord, I know I am a sinner. I realize it now. That's why I'm going crazy. I know that nothing I do will bring her back. I pray that our sins do not pass down to our children. Please forgive me for what we have done. Okay, they killed Sophia, right?
I mean, that's what I'm getting out of that.
Well done, Tyler and Dave. I will accept this answer because it mostly is correct. Sophia died at the hands of Andrew Reed, Henry Johnson, and a third party, who they are yet to realize. I think you boys just got your chibi privileges back.
She is coming for us.
The Hunch Bunch then begins questioning whether or not this is a horror game, right before they are about to leave Andrew's house.
See, I don't actually know if this is like a horror game or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure myself. It's advertised as like a walking simulator.
I'm wondering if it's like one of those Scooby-Doo things where it's like, oh, you know, so-and-so, we thought she died years ago, but she actually survived and has come back to get her revenge on us all or something like that.
I don't think that's the case, but...
Or something along those lines. It's not a ghost that's haunting us. Because when you go...
What? Where is she? No, seriously, she's supposed to be here. There's supposed to be a fucking ghost right there. Oh my god, Tyler was literally just saying...
It's not a ghost that's haunting us.
Do you have any idea how funny it would have been if he walked outside and immediately saw a ghost? Oh my god, I don't know what that's about.
Not a ghost that's haunting us. Because when you go to end the game, you can pick who you think the killer is.
Right.
I mean, I don't want to be like meta about it.
Right.
I don't think it's like a ghost, though.
And since he didn't get the scripted apparition for some reason, I guess the game won't be there to prove him wrong. Awesome.
You know what, real quick, let's actually do another little piece of journalism right here. Scott Brooks' journal. Take a look at this. 1985 is when he was picked up. We've only found mentions of Sophia in 1976. Oh, hold up. 1976 was the last we heard of Sophia. 1995 was when the other murders happened. Is it once every 10 years that some shit goes down? Is that it?
Alright, I'll humor me. Show me murder ritual that occurs once every 10 years. See, you're just stupid. While it sucks that we don't have everyone together at the same time, Ren and I are still leading an adjacent investigation.
Dum, 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 dum.
Okay, this cabin was a very important place to Scott and Trish. It was like their sanctity. Hello! The well. We have found a well. The well was mentioned. It was in that letter that the investigator found to Vivian. It said, meet me at the well. You know which one? It's Sophia at the bottom of this well. Why am I getting the Ring vibes?
The hunting cabin is a small and eerie level containing 2 keys and a journal, all of which can be found in this drawer in the corner of the room.
Oh,
And another key. So many keys. I'm so excited. Things are going to start opening up. Wait, it's got a label. Chest box. That's going to open Scott's things in the church storage, isn't it?
Together, Ren and myself begin reading a very sus journal left behind by Scott.
I don't get it. Why would Father Matthew forbid me to be with Trisha? Is it because I'm not rich or because I'm an orphan? Oh, he also doesn't want Scott with Trisha.
Scott is being manipulated. He is like definitely the sacrificial lamb or something.
Show me Scott was sacrificed.
I wouldn't be surprised if he faked his death to escape it all.
Show me Scott is still alive.
We quarreled again today. I couldn't stand Father Matthew's preaching attitude, so I yelled back at him. I know I shouldn't have done that, but I am so frustrated.
Father Matthew said that I'm not an orphan. What? What does that mean? Does he know who my parents are? I pressured him to keep talking, but he wouldn't tell me anything after that. I need to know more.
The bizarre thing here is that Ren figures out who Scott's dad is.
This fits into the theory I have that Scott is Charles's son.
And I figured out who Scott's mom is.
Is Sophia Scott's mother or something?
But neither of us figured out who both parents were.
I've moved out of the church. Father Matthew did not object, although he looked a bit sad. It's been a month since Charles gave me this cabin to stay. I still don't know where to start my investigation. Investigation? Investigation? Oh, into who his parents are.
Scott was investigating too. Oh no, Scott, this is how you get killed, man.
Andrew's been drinking. Bernard asked me to bring him home today. Whenever he's drunk, he accuses himself, saying he's a sinner.
Sometimes he would mutter names that I've never heard of. Of all the names, I think I only recognize Magdalene. I can't remember where I heard that name before. Yeah, that's the Roberts matriarch who insisted that Vivian must have a male heir. I'm detecting that there was an ulterior reason that Charles was liking Scott. Scott was important. He was part of some plot.
Oh my god, he's Charles' fucking son. How are you not getting this?
I just returned from the orphanage and found out it was Father Calvin who brought me there. The record sheet stated I was from Painscreek. If I was born in Painscreek, there must be records of me at the hospital, but I've checked and there's none. Interesting. Andrew's drunk again. This is the 5th time I had to bring him home and then cover his shift. It's getting quite annoying. As I laid him down on his bed, he muttered repeatedly, "I'm so sorry, Sophia." Did he have something to do? Did he have something to do with Sophia's death?
Who is Sophia? Holy shit. I think I was right to be so, wary of this Sophia character. This is fucked.
Well, that's a pretty big bombshell journal on the whole. And from it, Ren has managed to infer that Andrew had something to do with Sophia's disappearance without even having visited his burnt-down house.
Oh, he's got fucking guns.
Guns! Guns! Take him! Take the gun! It's gotta be at least 308. That'll blow a hole right through Mr. Hoodie Man.
Jen flips through Steven's photos again to get her ducks in a row.
I have Calvin's date of birth. It's on his tombstone. And I need to find out where the hell this is.
And the Hunch Bunch are tearing apart Scott's bedroom looking for the secret compartment with the cross when they piece together where they can find Calvin's date of birth.
Oh,
What?
what if Calvin's dead at the grave?
The cemetery, yeah.
Hopkins, Brooks, Hopkins, Calvin Bennett. Write that down.
10/24/02.
In the confessional booth, they find a letter written decades ago that was given to the previous minister, Calvin. It opens up a new subplot that no one has considered up until this point, regarding the mother of Charles Roberts, Magdalene.
Dear Father Calvin, this is the letter about the things that I've witnessed during my stay in Painscreek while in the service to Mrs. Magdalene Roberts. I have no one to confide in and I dare not speak to you in public, hence this letter.
The letter was written by a lady named Sylvia Eden, who I think was the wife of a security guard. Neither her or her husband will make any more appearances in this game, though.
It was rumored that Vivian had a nervous breakdown following her own delivery of Trisha. This is not Dorothy writing. That she had to stay in the hospital for rehabilitation for several months. During that time period, Charles was all alone. He found comfort in a housemaid by the name of Sophia. They had an affair. A boy was born. 2 days after arriving, we were informed that Sophia, along with her child, had left Painscreek.
However, Mrs. Roberts refused to believe that Sophia would leave when she would have been accepted into the Roberts family. The boy that she bore for Charles would have guaranteed that. Mrs. Roberts initiated a search for Sophia with our driver Patrick and myself. It lasted less than 2 months before she passed away from a heart attack. What I want to confess in this letter is not about Sophia, though I was initiated by her disappearance. It's about Mrs. Roberts' untimely death.
You see, Mrs. Roberts had a heart condition, and it had been affecting her for a while. However, her medication had always kept her stable. Her prescription was still the same during her visit to Painscreek, yet her condition deteriorated.
The family doctor, Henry Johnson, confirmed that her search for Sophia had taken a toll from her health. All she needed was to rest as much as she could and she would be fine. I know that despite the doctor's advice, Mrs. Roberts did not stop the search. Did that create stress in her? Yes. But should it have killed her? According to the physician attending Mrs. Roberts back home, no. Definitely not within such a short time span if she had taken her medicine.
As Patrick and I were packing to leave for home, I couldn't help but wonder, who could have wanted Mrs. Roberts dead? Is there a connection between the affair of Charles and the housemaid, the disappearance of Sophia and her child, and the death of Mrs. Roberts? I pray that the truth will be revealed as God permits it. Sylvia Eden.
If this letter appears out of the blue, that's because the player was supposed to have learned about Magdalene earlier in the secret passage attached to Charles' study. A secret passage which is now completely redundant to the Hunch Bunch and Jen. And although this letter makes a point of not accusing anyone, Tyler and Dave are very forward with their suspicions.
So did Henry Johnson kill Mrs. Roberts?
That's what she's...
Magdalene Roberts.
That's what this person is implying.
Show me Henry Johnson killed Magdalene. Hey, that's partially correct too. Once again, though, there was an accomplice who has not yet been named.
And more than that, why was the affair so important and the baby so important that they were willing to kill for it?
I mean, I'm pretty sure the baby is Scott.
Right. But why was it so important to kill, right?
So, like, somebody killed Andrew,
Right.
lit his house on fire, and he thought it was Sophia, and he's hallucinating about her. Was he hallucinating about her?
I won't even pull up the buzzer for this one, it's just wrong. Ren and I, still neck and neck in our investigation, are both going to the church to try out the 2 keys we just found in the cabin.
I really hope we don't unlock that door in the basement.
Ah, yes.
Toys, huh? And a key.
Ah! No!
You to a basement.
Apart from the ominous basement key, there is a letter in here from St. Patrick's Orphanage, the place where Scott came from.
This is... Dear Scott, I'm Sister Rachel. Though I wasn't here when you last came, I hope you remember me. I was your nursing mother after you arrived here those years ago.
On July 4th, 1975, Father Calvin came to us holding a basket with you in it. He said that you'd lost your parents and there's no one to take care of you. He told us that your name was Scott.
When you were 10, Father Matthew came to see you. He visited often. Whenever he left, he would leave an envelope containing a small sum of money. He said it was for everything you needed.
Everything enclosed within the package used to be yours. I think you should have these. May God bless you, Sister Rachel Davis. Dude. Okay, there's a diary in here too. Let's read the diary.
If by the end of this book I still haven't figured out he's Charles's son, I will be genuinely amazed.
It's another Scott diary. 1993. I asked Andrew about Sophia. First he freaked out, saying that I shouldn't go around speaking that name. Then he said he had never heard that name in his life. Is he hiding something? Why would he lie about Sophia?
This makes me want to know who Sophia is even more. Father Matthew really felt for Scott. Yeah, he went to visit him. It's really kind of him to do that. I asked Wanda if she knew anything about Sophia. She said Sophia used to work as a maid in the mansion for a few years until she was let go.
During today's lunch break, I asked Bernard if he knew about Sophia. He was surprised that I knew that name, but proceeded to say he did not know her that well.
I met Dorothy while tending to the garden. I asked her about Sophia. She looked confused and was curious as to where I heard that name.
I told her it came from Andrew. She kindly explained that Sophia was a close friend of hers when Sophia first came to work for the Roberts family. Unfortunately, she had an affair with Charles when Vivian was hospitalized.
Sophia had an affair with Charles when Vivian was hospitalized. She was the one Charles had an affair with.
Shortly after she left Painscreek, no one has heard of her ever since. Dorothy thinks that Sophia has probably started a life in another place. I wonder if the affair was the reason everyone's quiet about it. Dude. Oh no. I figured it out.
Thank you! Finally caught on.
This is fucked up because he had the affair with Sophia while his wife was in the hospital grieving after a miscarriage. Okay, then she left. I bet somebody murdered her.
Scott is Charles' bastard son. And that is so fucked. And that's why Vivian wants to keep Trisha away from Scott, because they're fucking half brother, half sister.
The last thing in this chest is a little blanket that Scott had in the orphanage. It's redundant to 3 of our 4 investigators now, Jen being the only one who hasn't yet pieced together Scott's lineage, but it does serve as a linchpin clue in Scott's own investigation, as we will see later.
I don't know how the occult shit works into it, but we have our deep, dark Roberts family secret. Charles had an affair with a maid, and then had her killed. She's probably at the bottom of the well. And the baby sent to an orphanage. Father Matthews went to look out for her. Maybe Father Matthews isn't a bad guy. He was just trying to protect Scott from the truth.
Meanwhile, Tyler and Dave, who were handicapping each other enough as it was, have just made things even harder by taking a several weeks break in between episodes. For the record, I just want to say, no judgment. I know that real life gets in the way of video games from time to time, and that's a shame. But for real, this definitely won't help the investigation.
But we're here at the Painscreek Community Hospital. Oh.
How did I camera again?
Jen is poking around the cabin now, where she has just found the key to Scott's toy chest, and Scott's journal, where he begins his investigation.
As I laid him down in his bed, oh man. Matthew, it wouldn't be... He's not the kid, is he?
Pretty sure she means to say Scott. Jen is now looking for a secret room, which she believes to exist in the cabin, because Trisha mentioned earlier in her diary that she thought there might be one.
Trapdoor? Under the bear?
Oh, and it should be mentioned, Jen only opened one of these two drawers. The second drawer had a key in it that opens Father Matthew's bedroom in the church, which means, unless she comes back here later, Jen won't be able to find all the things which Ren and I are poking through right now.
Hello.
O'Malley, an associate attorney at law. Oh, he was talking to lawyers. Dear Mr. Brooks, we have evaluated your case and we accept the request to represent your son, Scott Brooks, in court. Why was Scott being sued? Oh, because for the murder. They thought he murdered the woman.
Cetragale swoops in to make an observation about the obscene amounts of money Matthew was putting on the line to help Scott.
He was convinced of Scott's innocence, yeah. That's a good thing to write down.
Vivian had Sophia killed. I think that's what happened. Charles did not want to have Sophia killed, because he was having an affair with her, I'll bet. That's probably why.
The missing link has been found. Vivian was the third accomplice in Sophia's death.
And he probably had an affair with Sophia because Vivian was infertile, and Magdalene said it was vital that the Roberts family had a male heir. But we still don't know why. It could be for just general patriarchal reasons, or it could be because cult activity. But I don't see much evidence that Charles was a cult leader, besides the fact that we found some freaky hoodoo candle shit in the burnt down house of his gardener. Some interesting stuff in there. Father Brooks's diary? Oh yeah, Matthew Brooks. Let's try it.
In this journal, some of the final questions regarding the mysterious Sophia are answered at last.
February 25th, 1971. Okay. Alright, this is big. This is when he's going to adopt Scott. I had always wanted to be adopted, but I guess heaven had something else in store for me. Oh my gosh, he was an orphan too. What the hell? We have a suspicious lineage of orphans here. I came to Painscreek Trinity Church. To be honest, I prefer to have a real family with people whom I call mom and dad, but Father Galvin said God has other plans for my future, and in time I will come to realize it.
The Roberts family is looking for a new maid. I told her a relative of mine, oh, but he lied. Sophia's in need.
Is Sophia actually his relative or not? Since starting the job at the mansion, Sophia has settled in nicely. Whenever she has time off from work, we've been exploring Painscreek together. I have so much to show her. This is just like the orphanage days, and I'm extremely comfortable being with her. So they came from the same orphanage. What is with all these orphans coming from the same place? It's weird.
This news that Matthew was both sentimental to and the same age as Sophia has shaken up the previous suspicions I had about him.
So he was friends with Sophia. It doesn't sound like he was like a child molester or anything.
But it only gets sadder when the next diary is found. The one detailing Father Matthew's mission trip in 1975.
A few months have passed since I've arrived here. The missionary trip is harder than I expected. There's no clean water. The food lacks nutrients and there isn't enough medicine. Jesus Christ.
Oh no, he was out of town on a mission and he came back and this happened 3 days later.
Father Calvin summoned me this morning and told me Sophia had left Painscreek. The last time we wrote, she told me she had many things to share with me when I got back. That's not a sign of somebody who is about to leave or kill themselves.
Was she forced? Is she hiding something? I just cannot believe that Sophia left without telling me anything. Something must have happened to her that she could not tell me. Yeah, she was murdered.
It's been almost 6 months since Sophia left Painscreek. No one seems to know where she went. Father Calvin told me to let it go. Interesting. Was Father Calvin in on it? If Sophia and I are meant to meet again, God will let me know. It's time to move on with my life. Nah, bro, nah.
So I assume that he was in love with her. They were childhood friends from an orphanage, and he wanted to bring her to Painscreek because she needed work. Dog, that's so sad. All right, we're going to the basement. We're not thinking about it. We're just going to the basement right now. Basement, 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 basement. Nope, that's not it. Basement, basement. What? It doesn't open? What basement does this unlock?
Oh, maybe it's for the basement in the, cabin?
Ren's got the right idea here. This is a key that opens the basement of the cabin. Back at the hospital, the Hunch Bunch are getting back in the saddle as they find clues the rest of us discovered eons ago.
So, Matthew Brooks visited Trisha Roberts 4 times. 9:30, 10:09, 12:06.
Mm-hmm.
She was here for 3 months? Okay.
Jen has just gotten the toy chest open and is reading through Scott's investigation into Sophia. She notices the date when Scott first came to the orphanage, too, as a date mentioned in Sylvia Eaton's letter.
On July 4th, 1975. That's when Magdalene came to town.
This was the day that Sophia was killed, or otherwise disappeared.
1975. I think that's it. Yeah, could be the church basement, but it's probably the cabin basement, right? Back to the cabin to see if this works on that door, and then if maybe it goes down, maybe that's a basement.
On her way back to the cabin, Jen reflects that she's learned a lot of information recently, but none of it seems to help her answer the big question at the moment.
And it feels like we're on the right track of getting to the bottom of the story, but not necessarily to the bottom of Vivian's murder, specifically.
Tyler and Dave are going after Andrew's medical records like a heat-seeking missile. In so doing, they have positively clocked that Dr. Johnson was the one who gave Andrew his pills. I later learned that you can find out the same thing in Andrew's house by just inspecting this pill bottle. Whoops.
Well, that's the doctor that died.
Yeah.
This is also highly illegal.
Oh, absolutely, but they're dead.
Then they solve that quick little puzzle to open the locker and read the story where Sophia's ghost comes to visit Dr. Johnson outside of his office.
She turned to me and promptly walked away. I couldn't be exactly sure, but I thought she looked drenched. I looked out of the window, it wasn't raining.
I think what they're trying to imply, they're trying to imply that this is like a ghost story.
Nah, bro, they're telling you this is a ghost story. Ren took a break to go eat some spaghetti, leaving her avatar slumped over, looking like she needs a Narcan hit, and as soon as she finishes eating, she heads back into the church and finds Scott's bedroom.
I want to be like Trisha's father. Oh, that means that Trisha and Scott are siblings. Ah! My dude, you got shit everywhere. Oh!
Very quickly, she uncovers the hidden safe and intimates after a couple tries that the code must be the date on the bottom of Scott's airplane.
85. There we go. Let's meet at our secret hideout at 5 p.m. Code changed to 8831. Okay.
Now she has the code to the secret hideout, which earlier on she learned was the shed behind the mansion.
I wonder if it's the room behind the painting.
What? You mean the safe? And I am on my way to try my basement key in the hospital basement.
I want to get a key to something cool, like, I don't know, the cafe, or that shed behind the Roberts place. That shed behind the Roberts place has like 4 visible keys in it. You know that we're going to find a cavalcade of interesting shit once that pops open. You know what?
Alright, here comes another brilliant theory. Let's hear it.
I think Father Brooks killed Vivian. I think that's our mystery solved. The priest did it. It was a crime of passion. He found out what happened to his beloved Sophia, and he could not help but be angry.
Show me Matthew killed Vivian. Okay, stop, just pause everything. Halftime, we're taking a halftime. We are now approximately halfway through Act 2, which means this game is approximately halfway over. At the halfway point, everyone has found out that Charles and Sophia had an affair and gave birth to Scott Brooks. Most of them have also figured out that Sophia was murdered in reprisal for this affair. The Hunch Bunch thinks it was Andrew and Henry who killed her, I think it was just Vivian, but the truth is that all 3 participated in the killing. Ren and Jen don't yet have any strong opinions about who might have killed Sophia, but they're getting closer to the truth. And that's good. That's all well and good because this is the correct and intended pacing of the game. These are all sub-mysteries, and now is the time to be solving them. This is not, however, the time of the game where you're supposed to solve the crux of the mystery and answer who killed Vivian and why, which I just managed to do. And this wasn't some blind squirrel being right twice a day bullshit. I actually just used context clues to figure that out. I learned that Sophia was close to Matthew, that Sophia was killed by Vivian, and then inferred that if Matthew were to have ever found out the truth, he would have the perfect motive to murder Vivian. There weren't even any sequence breaks involved. This is all accessible information. Ren just saw the same thing as me at the same time. So, this is a discussion that should largely be reserved for the review section of this video, but I think it deserves to be said right now that this is suboptimal. With all nuance stripped away, the mystery genre is a one-trick pony. The one trick is keeping the reader fooled for as long as possible while they search for answers. You typically don't want your reader to get those answers until the last 10% of your story, not halfway through it. Once again, nuance is nuanced, and there's a good deal more to it than just that, but this is a very premature solution to the mystery, and suggests that the Painscreek killings is trending to be too easy of all things. But I could be wrong. There's still 3 other detectives at work, and as it stands, I currently have no proof of my theory, even though it's correct. It's an assumption built on top of an assumption, and those don't tend to go very far in court. Having proof is half the experience of solving the mystery, and in search of that proof, it's still possible that I might be betrayed by some red herrings, and maybe even latch onto new theories entirely. Time will tell.
Also, he wanted to make sure that Scott did not go down for the crime, and he's been paying lots and lots of money for his legal protection and his lawyers. And honestly, like, it's a little admirable. I mean, it was a crime of passion. Let's be real, the Roberts are kind of scum.
Jen has returned to the cabin and has found her way into the basement. She picks up a Scott diary and immediately receives an achievement titled
The Hidden Truth. Uh-oh.
It tells us about how Scott was being shunned by just about everyone but Trisha, because he wouldn't stop asking around about Sophia. One day, when Andrew didn't come into work, Scott went to his house and found him overdosing on his medication. He acted fast and took Andrew to the hospital, where his life was narrowly saved. In his recovery, Andrew decided it was time to turn over a new leaf. Wholly intent on getting sober and repenting, he confessed to Scott the truth of what happened to Sophia, neither one of them aware that she was actually Scott's mother.
While I was cutting fruits, he told me his story. In 1972, there was a maid who came to work at the mansion. Her name was Sophia. She was a hardworking young lady with great personality. She was loved by many. Not Wanda, though. A few years into her job, however, she had an affair with Charles. A child was born. When Vivian found out, she was furious and decided to kick her out of Painscreek. On June 26, 1975, at 11 p.m., Vivian, Dr. Johnson, and Andrew confronted Sophia. Why? A fight broke out. Sophia fell and hit her head on a nearby well. She stopped moving. Dr. Johnson checked and realized she was dead. Her neck had broken. No one knew what to do. Vivian then asked Andrew to take care of the body and her baby. Andrew did what he had to do to protect Vivian. After that night, they vowed never to tell anyone about the incident. Before leaving, I asked Andrew what the baby's name was. He said it was Vincent. As I left the hospital, I couldn't help but pity Andrew. He's lived a confusing life and the struggle shows. I hope he can heal.
Immediately after reading, Jen can't help but notice that Andrew, Henry, and Vivian, the 3 accomplices to Sophia's allegedly accidental killing, all died under mysterious circumstances around the same time, a year after Scott learned the truth. For the first time, Jen seems to really entertain the idea that Scott, the guy who everyone said was the killer, really might be the killer. There's only one thing stopping her from fully committing to this theory, and that is the tone in which Scott writes about Sophia's death.
But I hope he can heal. Doesn't sound like a guy who wants to commit murder about it.
Right after reading, Jen finds the secret compartment in the wardrobe at Mach speed. Since she got the crucifix already as a result of completing Scott's safe in Act 1, she now has everything she needs here. The secret door cannot hide from her. So, begrudgingly, Jen's Act 2 ends now. So now we're stuck with these fucking clowns. Ren has just located the safe behind the painting and has realized not only that it's too small to be a secret hideout, but also that it requires a 6-digit code.
This is way longer than 8831.
Pretty quickly, she figures out that it unlocks the shed-out bag.
Oh! This was their secret hideout? This is lame as hell.
Then Ren finds several more chess pieces.
This is a pawn, right? No, this is a rook.
No, that's a queen, actually.
Rook. Okay. I corrected myself. It's a bishop?
No, it's a queen.
What? It's a bishop?
That's not a rook, it's not a bishop. What is this fucking chat?
Oh, attic. It's got Trisha's name on it. Drawer, I think it says. Interesting. They definitely had a crush on each other. Sibling shit. Dear Trisha, you can always stay at my place when you feel lonely. Dorothy. Oh, okay. Please hold on to this. Someday I will tell you everything. Did Mom talk to Father Matthew? Is that why Father Matthew also forbade us from seeing each other? Don't they know we're in love? Oh, it's because you're siblings.
What are your secrets?
Welcome back to Character Select.
Well, it's official. Literally everyone has found the secret box, except for the one detective who found the secret combination to it. As a result, every one of our detectives is now primed for a major sequence break. Myself finding this box, or the others finding the code, is only one happenstance away.
Maybe that's the time capsule.
That's it. I'm texting my buddy Zach for a hint. He says check for a wooden panel. Oh no. The key rack? Is that what he means? He says it's kind of the back of reception. My brother in Christ. It's a small room.
Once again, Jen has proven that this hidden compartment is hidden in a fair way and that the provided hint is sufficient to locate it. Meaning, my getting a hint here is a reflection of my own laziness, not bad game design.
Oh my god. Wow. Fuck you, Stephen Moss. You cannot describe for shit. Okay, what's in here? April 9th, 1987. I saw Matthew today while he was cleaning the church. He looked thinner than he used to be. We talked for a bit. He told me that he will be leaving Painscreek soon as his services won't be needed here anymore. I think the recent deaths in Painscreek affected him tremendously, not to mention the tragedy that befell his adopted son, Scott. So Scott did die. Wow.
In the attic, Ren has just found the instructions about how to open up the secret clock safe.
The Benfield. Insert the clock key, set the secret safe. Tea time! Do you guys remember when tea time was? I didn't feel well today. I had a nightmare last night. I cannot remember what it was like, but it was unnerving. I see Scott all the time since he has started working at the mansion. He's always with Trisha. Oh, this is Derek's diary.
On the whole, Ren does not find much else of importance in the attic.
Well-cleaned grill fork. Ooh, could the murder weapon be the grill fork?
Tyler and Dave have returned to Scott's bedroom because they believe it to be the place where one of the PI's photos was taken. Again, it's not.
So we found this, but we don't know the code.
Face to face with the pesky wall safe again, Tyler tries to pop in a couple different dates, including another incorrect iteration of May 3rd, 1985. Once again, it doesn't work.
It has to be something related to that date.
To better follow up on the photo of the hidden compartment, the Hunch Bunch then returns to the inn and re-examines the photo. That's when they make a fantastic observation, out of focus and in the corner.
There looks like there's a water heater there.
Okay.
That looks like that's down in the basement.
I didn't notice the water heater before, so yeah.
That's my fractactical genius at work, Dave.
But unfortunately, this is where Tyler's fractactical genius expires. The Hunch Bunch then go back to the Roberts Mansion library for a good 20 minutes, trying to crack open the desk and also unlock the bookcase puzzle. They fail at both.
Here we go. Tea time. 3:20 on the dot.
Ren has managed to track down tea time again, meaning we will at least get to see someone make an advance in the story, if only in a peripheral direction. In the wall safe, she finds a letter written from Dr. Henry Johnson to Vivian. An old letter from the summer of 1975.
Dear Vivian, I'm not writing you as your doctor, but as your friend. I know you had your suspicions about Charles. Now that his affair is revealed, there's no point beating around the bush. If you want to protect yourself and Trisha, there's only one way. You have to make Sophia and the baby leave Charles. Oh, what's this? I have provided a new prescription for your mother-in-law, Magdalene. It is 3 times the strength her usual dosage. Detailed instructions will be sent with the medicine. Should you decide to do it, you'll need to administer the medicine carefully so no one suspects anything. Vivian murdered Magdalene? This is some tea.
All right,
Nope.
try this. Oh,
Yep.
0503.
I have watched Tyler and Dave try every possible combination on Scott's save now.
Nope. 0305.
They've given up on the airplane date now and are just trying other dates of possible significance. Scott's birthday, Matthew's birthday, everyone's fucking birthday. Eventually, Dave can't take it anymore. He goes to the wiki, completely defeated.
What? But we put that in.
What?
5385. Did we put that in? We put that in like a million times!
We did. Like, we can scroll back and look at the fucking footage. We put that in.
Unless we put in like 5485 or something.
Maybe?
I don't know.
know.
Whatever. Welcome
Whatever.
back to Character Select. It's a baseball.
This isn't bad detective work or bad game design, it's just bad luck. They had the right idea the instant they found this safe, they just formatted the date the wrong way. And while getting this hint is still their fault for not being thorough enough to try every possible configuration, it just feels so petty to fault them for this.
Trail's hot now, Dave.
Supposedly.
In a flash, they've opened the secret hideout and have the attic key and Trisha's drawer key.
And then Queen is 1.
Oh look, a man who knows his chess pieces.
So the point is we're supposed to get a wrench and a shovel from somewhere, either the basement of the freaking hospital or blah blah blah.
Oliver Gibson has a toolbox and a shovel. Mrs. Patterson has Oliver's spare key. That's from the inn, or the hotel.
Mrs. Who?
Patterson. But we
So
have
we
no-
need to figure out who Mrs. Patterson is.
Yeah.
I remind you all that, to date, Ren is the only person to have figured out Dorothy's last name is Patterson. A thing which, I remind you, is public information.
You can always stay at my place when you feel lonely. Dorothy. Okay.
Alright, do we know where Dorothy lives then?
Shit, the Hunch Bunch just ran into the problem that Jen had in the cabin. 2 of these drawers have just been unlocked, but they only opened one of them, leaving the mandatory crucifix key undiscovered in the bottom drawer. Oh my god! A day later, I have received all the hints that I asked my viewers for. Even though I explicitly made clear I did not want spoilers, just little pushes in the right direction, this remains cheating.
So, the biggest thing that I got is that I should go back to previous locations I've already explored, even if I don't think there's anything there for me to find, because often there will be things that I missed or things that will change as the game progresses.
Something a little productive that I've done, though, is that I've written out a timeline on my phone of what I believe happened in Painscreek and the order in which it went down. The whole thing spans 3 minutes, but the gist of it is, I think Vivian paid or blackmailed Andrew to murder Sophia, and years later, when Matthew learned the truth about what happened to her, he exacted his revenge on Vivian.
So that's the basic rundown of it. I still don't really know who killed Dr. Johnson, why he ended up he was probably had something to do with the embezzlement that he was charged with. Could be a red herring though, who knows. So someone killed Dr. Johnson, and eventually somebody apparently killed Scott too.
Using illegally provided comments from my viewers, I have learned that the key in my inventory opens the basement of the cabin. Unlike me, Ren was able to figure this out without the use of spoilers.
A basement?
Together, she and I find the diary labeled The Hidden Truth, where Andrew Reed confesses to Scott about the night Sophia was killed.
Okay, so I was half right, half wrong. Andrew was an accomplice to the murder, but it sounds like it was an accident if he was telling the truth, but it explains why he's so on edge.
Oh, damn! There's more and more reason to believe it was Scott.
That's a pretty big bomb to have just dropped. So that means that Scott was originally Vincent and then renamed.
Weren't they all suspiciously dead? Andrew in a fire, the doctor in his car, the leg and Vivian murdered? Yeah.
Ravenous for more clues, I end up finding the secret panel where the crucifix goes. Unfortunately, I haven't got the crucifix.
The investigator found this. Where can I find the key? Oh god, it must be in the church.
And Ren, who does have the crucifix, left the basement right after reading the journal. This is a bit of an awkward position for her now, because she's basically beaten Act 2, but missed the very last step. No worries, I guess this is an opportunity for her to backtrack and find some optional things she missed.
Dorothy and the fucking address I can never find. 7 Black Pine. Let's go to Dorothy's house. 40 Black Pine. I'm half expecting a person to be outside whenever I leave a house.
In the Roberts attic, the Hunch Bunch have just found an extremely important linchpin clue that everyone else missed.
Wait,
Why?
why was
Yeah,
Girl
no,
Brush
Girl Brush is on there twice.
That's a code.
I'm just kidding, it's a typo. Luckily, this return trip to the mansion wasn't all in vain. Even though they missed the second drawer that unlocks Trisha's nightstand, they did end up finding the cabin key on a return to her room, something they missed hours ago.
Is that a key?
Did I just not pick this up?
Motherfucker!
Tyler and Dave then locate the Benfield clock safe, and they have tea time, but they're missing the wind-up key. It was in a drawer in the master bedroom, the place where they glitched earlier and had to reload the save. As a result, they are stonewalled on this front and are not able to open the clock.
We don't have the freaking wind-up key for it.
Shit.
Making up for lost time, they take the hypotenuse right to the hunting cabin.
Cabin key.
Alright, let's take a look around here.
It's not looking great for Scott's innocence here. You can definitely make a case that Scott killed in revenge for Sophia. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Go, my minion! Keep misdirecting her!
Oh, I actually haven't been able to get in here yet. I thought I had been able to. Charles asked something of me today. He asked if I would be willing to stay with Sophia, that he had arranged to have a house rented a little ways from the mansion. I told him I would help, but that Sophia's pregnancy would eventually show. There's no way of hiding it. Oh, that's why he had the cabin. She said it would be best if the baby is a boy. But I can't help but wonder how Vivian will feel about it all.
Unfortunately, this is about the only new clue Ren finds in Dorothy's house. Everything else in here is woefully redundant. Now the only key she has left is to House 7. And she still can't find it.
Where's 7?
Faced with the revelations in Andrew's confession, I'm beginning to recalibrate my perception of the doctor's death.
I previously did not think that Dr. Johnson would have been associated with the murder in that way, which tells you a little bit about maybe why he was found dead. Maybe he was going to go to the police and somebody silenced him.
Then I go back to the comments section to respond to what people suggested I take a look at.
There's a couple new ones that I didn't see. One of them tells me that there's actually things in most of the locations I missed, including this playground.
Oh no. Oh no. Who left that comment?
Maybe I missed something over here by the birdhouse.
Who the fuck left that comment?
Oh?
Tracy Cook to the principal's office.
A hollowed out stump? What the hell? What is this thing? Is this the 1203 I've been looking for? No way! We got it! Woo! Okay, I don't know how I was supposed to put that together, but we finally found out what the 1203 is for. So this must be something pertaining to Scott or Matthew or even Smith. Just someone referring to the church. I hope I didn't do this out of sequence.
Alright, looks like it was inevitable. If anything, I guess we can be lucky that the first person to open this box early was the one who had somehow managed to solve the main mystery. And even though my theory about Vivian's murder does not yet have any hard evidence, the contents of this box will, inevitably, lead me to irrefutable proof.
A ring. A wedding ring, I assume. Oh no. This is from Matthew, yeah. It's been quite a while since I last wrote to you. I've been busy. I hope you are doing well. Father Calvin has been handing me more and more responsibilities. It seems like he might be retiring soon. He even gave me his favorite desk in the study room. I've changed the code to 0318. We've got ourselves another code. Painscreek has been very quiet recently. Nothing much goes on in this small town. Oliver is still Painscreek's event photographer. Charles and Vivian are running their business as usual. Trisha is 7 now. She's really smart and loves to hang out with her dad. Dorothy's the same. Old Dorothy that we all love. Bernard's still the reliable butler. I don't think he'll ever be replaced. As for me, well, I'm still here, waiting for your return. So this was after she vanished. Today marks the 6th year that you left Painscreek. I still don't know why you left. All I want to say is take care. This will be my last letter. One day I hope to see you again. Love, Matthew. 1982. Wow, that poor dude.
The immediate contents of this box are not the reason I've been dreading this sequence break. It's the things which they will inevitably point a player to.
Oh, okay.
Sure, that's important.
Well, don't forget we're also trying to find the murder weapon for what killed Vivian. I don't even think we know
That's
how she
true.
died yet.
We don't have a medical report on that. Like, you'd figure that the autopsy would have told us, hey, she was strangled to death. Oh, she was stabbed to death.
Dave and Tyler have just gotten into the cabin after hours of not having the key. Here, they are beginning to pick up the pieces of the Scott investigating Sophia subplot, which is ultimately another redundancy, since they solved that mystery ages ago.
So laid him down in his bed, he muttered repeatedly, I'm so sorry, Sophia. Who's Sophia? So we're right about this. Charles is his dad, and Sophia is his mom.
That is a church key. Is that a church key to the basement, you think?
Or something in Father Matthew's room, but...
Looking through their notes on the way back to the church, Dave makes an important connection.
Wait a second.
What?
God fucking damn it.
What?
Mrs. Patterson has Oliver's spare fucking key.
Right.
Mrs. Patterson's first name is Dorothy.
Right.
Don't act like you knew that, Tyler.
We have fucking 10, 8, and 2.
Ren has been looking for House 7 for like 10 minutes straight, and has looked at pretty much everything but House 7.
Into the water.
And she just walked right past it. Oh, wait, she's turning around.
Oh my god. This makes me want to die.
Fucking kill me.
Who cares who killed Vivian and why? Where the fuck is 7 Black Pine? That's what I want to know. I just had a thought. What if I wrote down 7, but it was actually 1?
Oh, great, now we're back to denial.
I am a lineman for the county.
And back in the church, I am claiming my prize for opening the tree stump early. The contents of Matthew's locked drawer.
318. Alright, come on, let's get a key. Ugh, no key. Maybe there's at least some important information. 1995. Ooh, this is around the time that shit happened. I visited Scott today. I couldn't believe what he said. How could Sophia be dead? He found out the truth. How could Andrew, Henry, and Vivian have killed her? Did Dorothy know? How about Wanda or Charles? Did they know? Why didn't anyone tell me? So nobody knew except the 3 who witnessed the murder, not even Robert, I'm guessing. 28th, 1995. I visited Sophia's grave today. It was just a wooden cross that Scott made. Oh, that's right. If she's buried there, then she's not at the bottom of the well. There was no name on it. I placed some flowers in front of it. She always had a liking for flowers, so... Father Brooks is still around. June 4th, 1995. We had mass today. Vivian and Henry were there. Andrew, as usual, didn't come. All I can think of whenever I look at them is whether they actually killed Sophia or not. I know I should forgive them, but it's so difficult. I'm dying inside. I wish I never visited Scott. I wish I never heard what he said. I wish I could just forget everything. June 6, 1995. I need to talk to Andrew. I need him to confess. Wow. Okay. I think Brooks killed Henry too then. And he could have also killed Andrew. Wait, hang on. June 6, 1955. When did Andrew die? Andrew Reed's death. June 7th, 1995. Holy shit.
This right here is the moment it becomes undeniable.
He fucking killed them all. Around 11:25 p.m. last night, that is the night that he went to go speak with him. Oh, wow. I hope Brooks realizes that if he's the one stalking me, that I actually have nothing but respect for him, because I think it's kind of cool that he went out and killed all these people for revenge. Okay, like, realistically, murder is bad, blah, 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 but come on. This is an underdog story.
The next question that I'm onto is another lead that I won't be able to resolve just yet, but just that I'm thinking about it testifies to the sequence break I've just performed. In his letter to Sophia, Matthew clearly mentioned having a workshop in the church attic, where he worked on his wood carvings.
Now, where is the attic of this church? We haven't figured that out yet. Is it just one of the locked doors in the hallway? Hang on, there are no locked doors on the second floor. How does one access the attic? Must be up there.
It is possible that later on we will get into that attic.
My baby boy. Blanket with moon, stars, and my baby boy embroidered on it. Okay.
1975.
Take a picture of that.
Tyler and Dave have just made the larger realization that Scott and Trisha were half-siblings.
Which is why Father Matthew didn't want them together, because that's incest.
That's my assumption, yes.
What do we have?
We have a key to somewhere in the church. Father Matthew's room?
Let's go to his Father Matthew's room, because he had some locked stuff in his area, didn't he?
I think so. O'Malley and Associates, attorneys at law. Dear Mr. Brooks, we've evaluated your case and we accept the request to represent your son, Scott Brooks, in court. We are in the process of drafting an appeal for his release. Check from car dealership. He sold his car to pay for Scott's legal fees. Man, thank God all these people are inveterate diarists. Jesus.
And then in Matthew's diaries, they begin to learn the truth of who Sophia was to Matthew.
Father Calvin always said we have to help those who are in need. Sophia is in need, and I'm sure she'll be glad to have this job. So he actually has a motive.
There we go, Dave. You're on the right track. At the moment, Dave has become suspicious of Father Matthew. Tyler, not so much.
But why against Vivian?
Because Vivian might have found out. Father Calvin summoned me this morning and told me that Sophia had left Painscreek. How could that be? The last time we wrote, she told me she had so many things to share with me when I got back. Was she forced? Is she hiding something? Okay, so he wasn't here when whatever happened with Sophia happened.
Right. But he could still be the culprit in the murderer.
Yes.
Okay, you know what?
Ren's tribulations have frustrated her so much that she finally caves and searches her first hint.
Let me see if I can find it on a map somewhere.
That is now 3 of our 4 investigators who have taken the easy way out around 2/3 of the way through the game. At last, Ren has arrived at Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion.
Oh, it was this one! Ugh, you guys, I've been stupid. Oh my god.
The interesting thing about Ren finding this house in the equivalent of what is Act 3 is that she already knows who Sophia was and that Andrew played a role in killing her. This location isn't totally redundant, though, because seeing the circumstances of Andrew's death can do lots to influence her perspective of him, and possibly even misdirect her from the truth.
This is the fire he died in. I didn't know the fire was in his house. Do you think Scott killed Andrew? I don't know.
I'm honestly kind of loving that both Jen and Ren are beginning to seriously entertain that Scott could be the killer.
I've been saving my money and plan to... Plan to what? I think he would need to leave. Andrew? What the fuck is this? He's as guilty as I am. Oh, he was seeing Sophia. Ever since Scott asked about her, I've started to see Sophia again. Why did he have to mention her? I need more pills. I know I'm a sinner, I realize it now. That's why I'm going crazy. I know that nothing I do will bring her back. Is he trying to, like, summon her back? Does that say for us? Do you think he set the fire? Huh.
Alright, but the real question is, how will Ren react?
Who killed Vivian, though?
Holy shit, I need some Quaaludes, man. Backtracking next, I have wound up at the hospital, where I'm following a tip that I missed something here.
My first inclination is to look at the bottom of the broken terrace, because it was implied that someone could have died if they fell from there. Well, what do you know? We had a patient suicide then? This is news. I have not known this previously. Also, isn't this chalk? How did this chalk stay?
In the hallway, I actually found Henry's office for the first time. When that jump scare hit me, I didn't even know it was there. Slowly, I begin to work backwards and piece together the implications of the power outage.
Wait, what? Power is off? This is actually Zombie Product, oh my god. That's right, oh no! Somebody turned off the power when they saw me get the keycard pass because they knew that I needed an electronic reader to go through. Somebody was watching me over here when I picked this shit up.
So I head outside to look for the circuit breaker, because I assume that the hospital is built like a Call of Duty Zombies map, and while there, I stumble across this chance encounter.
I see your ass! That's a woman! There is a woman on top of the building. Watch this, watch this. Oh, holy shit, wait. I can go to the roof of this building.
Traveling to the rooftop and finding that she is, of course, gone, I begin to speculate wildly.
We must now consider one of two possibilities. I'm hallucinating, and I'm seeing ghosts, which I think is unlikely because this game has not really leaned into the supernatural to this point. Or there is another person in Painscreek besides the dude with the hoodie.
Nah, bro, it's ghosts. And there is no dude in the hoodie, you made him up.
Perfect. Into the spooky basement hey, that's a water heater.
Yeah, but that's not...
That
It
is.
is.
They find the secret compartment right away, but haven't got the cross to open it, because they missed that drawer in Trisha's room.
Crucifix.
Do not have that.
After reading the confession, the two re-evaluate their theories.
So, there was a letter that called Vivian out to the well, and she knew what well they meant.
Yeah.
So either it was Dr. Johnson, Andrew, or Scott that called her out there, or somebody witnessed it, or Sophia wasn't dead.
Right. There's a lot of variables and we still don't know the truth.
Leaving the cabin, it's obvious to them that they need to find the crucifix. They aren't sure where it is, but have a pretty damn good idea that it must be in Trisha's possession.
If I had to guess, I would say that it was in the music box in Trisha's room.
Yeah, we don't have a key to get into that.
Wandering Painscreek, they end up finding Bernard's house the same way everyone else does, stumbling across a lock with the unlock prompt, and then correctly guessing his key.
Oh?
Oh, here we go. Did I luck into it?
Nope.
Nope. But we have to get into this house now.
Whoever's...
Sorry?
What?
That was the house entrance key that we found in the locker in the mansion. This is Bernard's house?
Ren has gone all the way back to the police station in search of a lead and is now putting in codes she's already spent in the lost and found cabinet. Then she goes back to the inn and looks for the hidden panel, ultimately caving in and searching its location in a walkthrough also.
I just don't understand where it's supposed to be.
Unfortunately, Ren is learning that this secret passage is ultimately fruitless. It's information she already has.
When asked how his investigation went, he said something about an incident that happened in 1975. Yeah, I know all about that, but what of it?
Then she goes to the cemetery to double check who's dead.
Yeah, Father Matthew is not in any of these gravestones. Maybe the unmarked grave was made for Sophia by Andrew? Oh, that would make a lot of sense. And there were still fresh flowers at it, which updates or secures the theory that somebody is still taking care of it.
Back at the inn, she's looking at the photos of the cross indentation on the side of Scott's wardrobe, but for some reason just doesn't see the cross that's plainly there.
What is this?
Even when the chat tells her it's the cross indentation, she's just not seeing it.
It's hard to tell.
Ultimately, Ren is now convinced that the next step to advance the case is to open Steven's locked briefcase in the hotel room. But she doesn't know where the key is, and she's not going to find it because it's hard-locked behind Act 3. Unfortunately, a naughty chatter by the name of Chopper offers to tell Ren where the key is. And Ren, being desperate for progression, with a room full of live viewers watching her, takes the easy way out. Ren accepts this help, unaware that this hint will not help her at all, because this key is hard-locked behind Act 3. Chopper tells her that it's in the hospital basement, and then she's off to pursue a dead end.
There's so many people here to watch me fail at this game. We're cheering you on. Oh, thanks, etc.
Back at Steven's room, I have finally pieced together the esoteric art of how to rotate photographs.
Oh! Okay. We gotta read everything now. Diary. Everything referring to Father Calvin.
While looking through my documents for Calvin's date of birth, guess what connection I finally made?
Dorothy was a Patterson! I had no idea! I am stupid. She lived on 40 Black Pine Road.
Reviewing old documents, I also reread the security log about the girl who got lost trick-or-treating and the anonymous mansion maid who helped her. In light of recent epiphanies, this is beginning to gather my interest.
All the maids said they were working. Why does it sound like this was Sophia? Sophia had been dead for almost 20 years. Was this the ghost of Sophia?
I'm getting there, but so far I'm still a non-believer. The next tip I received from the comments teaches me a very important piece of the game design, and that is that all keys are useful and will remain in your inventory until you've found what they unlock. This is something I somehow have not realized yet.
Well, here's the thing. We do have a number of keys. This one is... Oh my god. This is not the key to Wanda Tyler's... Oh, hospital room. This is the key to Wanda Tyler's house. Shit. Mansion workers list. Tyler. Derek Tyler. 43 Silver Lake Boulevard. We're away. Let's go. Right now. 43 Silver Lake.
I'm sorry, is that that's a K-bar.
Well, he has a knife case.
And he's missing.
And a missing knife case. And a broken axe display. Great. Love that.
Tyler and Dave then have the extreme misfortune of discovering the darts puzzle before they are supposed to.
AOL password. Study room lock desk hint. Subtract the yellow darts points from the red darts total.
What did his note say?
Subtract the yellow score from the red score? Fuck.
No.
See, this just breaks my heart. Because these two were struggling and might have been able to come to the correct realization that the puzzle cannot be solved yet, when they went and saw the damn black speck like everyone does and thought they had just figured it out.
Oh.
There it is.
Tricky fucking hobbits. Fuck!
Nope.
Look at the dartboard again. Maybe he pulled the yellow dart out?
This is slowly becoming a case study of everything that can go wrong when designing a puzzle. After learning that Chopper's hint about the briefcase was of no use, Ren has given up on investigating and is just sitting around on the Roberts porch waiting for Chat to hit her with more hints. Eventually, Chopper tries to redeem himself by pulling up a walkthrough and tracing backwards to find out what Ren missed. Politely, and without spoiling any story events, he directs her towards the cabin.
If I don't get that plush, I will die. Yes, I've been in the cabin. Go back there. Okay. Closet. In the closet. Oh! Oh yeah!
In record time, Ren has found the hidden room, and now completed Act 2. That leaves us with the Intelligentsia.
Trisha visited me again. Ever since Scott was fired and was told not to see Trisha anymore, she has been visiting me quite often. Not only is she angry at Vivian, she's also annoyed with Scott, saying that Scott is avoiding her. Yeah, it's because Scott knows the truth now.
By now, I'm sure you've noticed that we keep on running into the inevitable redundancy problem. You see, when a mystery game is open world and non-linear like this, information tends to be repeated to ensure that the player eventually finds it. Many of these side houses, like Wanda's and Bernard's, contain lots of repeated information. When Ren and Jen came here in Act 1, there were lots of interesting things to find. But for the rest of us in Act 2, it's no longer terribly relevant. There is still the broken drawer in Wanda Tyler's bedroom and the bloody floorboard in Bernard's office. When we get the tools, these will both be worth examining.
Well, we know that there's a toolbox in the photo lab. Oliver Gibson borrowed it. Okay, so there might be something important in here, is the takeaway.
Meanwhile, the darts puzzle is actively destroying Tyler and Dave's friendship.
Yeah, it's 282.
Pull up a fucking calculator.
Oh my god.
It's not that anyway.
182.
God damn it, Dave.
I said...
It's not that.
Did I not say 182? I could have sworn I did.
You said 282. We don't have the right
we don't have all... Well, we don't have all the information. Because we don't know where that third dart is because it fell off. So until we can find it out, we won't be able to solve the puzzle.
Hosanna in the highest. They figured out that they couldn't figure it out. Next up, they arrive at Dorothy's house, where Tyler and Dave are in denial at how unimportant the place is. A locked door upstairs is particularly frustrating to them, as they're fairly convinced the key to Oliver's photo lab is on the other side. They're not wrong.
We can unlock it, but we don't have a key.
There's gotta be something in here. This is our last lead.
So the house they expected to push them ahead in the investigation ended up just being a devastating dead end. Out of leads, they have gone back to the Roberts mansion for the third time now to redeem themselves on the bookshelf puzzle.
So it's 4 from the right, 6 from the left, and then 5th from the right?
3.
Oh, 3 from the right.
Mother, I thought we fucking did that!
Jim can throw all of our attempts back up.
Dave, I'm not even kidding. Please send me Jim's Venmo so I can buy him a beer.
Welcome back to Character Select, but we opened the fucking door, Jesus.
Like I said before, this room contains some bombshell discoveries if you open it the first time you enter Charles' study. Since no one was able to do that, it is now a secret lair full of disappointments. Inside Charles's goon cave, you learn that the woman Stephen had a photo of was Sophia, that Charles had an affair with her and got her pregnant, that Charles's mother Magdalene was super manipulative and insisted that Sophia's child would need to be protected, and that Magdalene died of a heart attack in early July of '75. Again, these are all things that Tyler and Dave knew. Meanwhile, in Bernard's house,
I don't know why a man would keep a bunch of fire axes on display. It's not as impressive as I think he thinks it is. It's like having a bunch of shovels in a cabinet. Study room locked desk hint. Subtract the yellow darts points from the red darts total. Oh, that's good. We have a puzzle.
no, it's not good. You don't have a puzzle. Shut the fuck up.
A bloodstained wood panel. I need a tool to pull up the nails. Whoa. What is going on there? We gotta get into Dorothy's house. Dude, she's got the key. She has the key to freaking everything.
No, Dorothy's house won't help you for shit either. You need to open Scott's safe. Tyler and Dave have wandered all the way back to the hospital and have now found Henry Johnson's key card. Finally.
It's a key card.
Well, missed that.
Well, they may have missed the ghost at Andrew's house, but at least we can watch them get hit with this.
Is that the main dude? Henry Johnson?
Yep. There's the door right there. I'll pop. Excuse me?
So I remember playing this game a while ago, right?
Yeah.
And I remember this happening.
Why did it happen?
Because we picked up the key card, Dave.
You gonna open that door?
I couldn't open the door.
You gotta use the key card on the slot.
How do you use the key card on the slot?
You bring up your inventory.
Tyler is trying to tell Dave that you need power to use an electronic lock, and Dave is just not hearing it. But Tyler has something else to tell Dave from his antiquated and demented memories of playing this game that I find very interesting.
One thing I do remember seeing in this section
Yeah?
was a person.
Oh, great.
I believe they were upstairs.
What person, Tyler? The only person in the hospital ever is the ghost of Sophia standing on the roof. I genuinely don't know who Tyler is talking about, so I'm actually beginning to think he might just be making things up to scare Dave. If this is the case, well done, Tyler. I go for an obvious guess as to where I can find Calvin's date of birth, and am quite surprised when it actually works.
Oh my god, it's actually here.
Then the confessional letter is a quick and easy read where I pick up what Sylvia is putting down.
This is about Mrs. Roberts' death. Somebody killed Mrs. Roberts, apparently. Shit, there are so many murders in this town.
And then I get lost for another good 30 minutes while trying to intuit the impossible darts puzzle.
Maybe this will be solvable when I come back to it later. Maybe I'll find a picture that shows the dartboard.
Afterwards, I return to the mansion and read a couple journals which refer to the clock upstairs, where I actually end up piecing together how the tea time puzzle works without having seen the instructions in the attic. This is technically a sequence break, but it will have virtually no impact on the game at all.
Call me if you have any questions. Henry, please make sure no one else in the mansion ingests any of it. Holy shit. They murdered Magdalene.
Tyler and Dave have honestly been pretty good sports about not getting spoilers. The only one they've received thus far was for Scott's safe combination, because they kept putting it in wrong. And now they are receiving their second because they know they've missed something, but aren't sure what or where. With the help of a walkthrough, they learn there is a cross in Trish's room.
What did we miss?
We need to go back to Trisha's room. Alright. Close drawers and shit. Look around. There it is.
Fucking goddamn it.
Welcome back to Character Select. I don't know how we missed that, but apparently we did. Sorry, everybody. We'll try to be more thorough.
So, for the last time, they take the hypotenuse right back to Scott's cabin, pop the cross into the cross hole, find the drawstring very quickly, and then are in the secret room. So now it's just me and I. Alright, well, let's just hope I can hurry up and open Scott's safe and, nope, I've gone back to the darts puzzle. Awesome, great.
Wait a second. Did the tip snap off in the dart? Compare it to the yellow dart. No, compare it to the yellow dart. Show me that dart. Let me see the dart. Why can't I see this? Can I not examine this? Alright, I'm gonna take one last look at this, and then I think we might get the spoiler.
Not only am I now cheating myself out of solving this puzzle later, but I'm also getting a spoiler that will sequence break for me. Again.
Later in the game, you'll get definitive information as to where that last dart used to be from a photo you will eventually find. No! Oh, I was right! This is an impossible puzzle. You're not supposed to solve this until you find something later on. I was looking at pixels. Okay, well the question stands now. Do I allow myself to open this drawer now that I've spoiled it?
No, you really shouldn't look in there.
Fuck it.
The intrusive thoughts have won. Inside this desk is a key to Vivian's desk in her tea room, as well as the final Bernard journal of the game.
After hearing how heartbroken Charles was 2 nights ago, I can't bear to see him suffer anymore. Scott should pay for what he did. So Bernard totally thought that Scott was the killer.
Since one sequence break isn't bad enough, let's race right over to Vivian's and open her desk. Inside this desk, which I was hoping to send me forward, is the biggest nothing burger journal in the whole game. I literally cannot think of a single remarkable thing in it. She meets with some guy for work named Smith, and then says she needs Charles to donate one of his paintings to some art gala.
Okay, so this is not what I was looking for in a locked desk belonging to a murdered woman.
Frustratedly out of leads, I called it a night there and was not planning on playing Painscreek the next day.
And then I saw the comments. Then I saw the go back to Scott's room, you'll find something in plain sight comments. What is that, 5385?
Immediately, I have picked up the thread. Go to the shed.
We are so back.
Take Trish's key. Open Trish's drawer.
Note and a key.
Open Trish's other drawer. Open Trish's other drawer. Open Trish's other drawer! Great, now I'm solving the useless, redundant, stupid library puzzle that I should have done 4 hours ago. Spoiler alert, I also knew everything that was in here. Episode 7. Someone has shown me the error of my ways in the comments and told me about the drawer that I missed, because without their help, I might have been stuck here for 10 years. The slowest member of our investigation has finally put his ass in gear and burns rubber to the cabin. The cross is in place, the string has been pulled, and at long last we have all made it to the end of this very bumpy chapter. Now let's have a look at what Scott was hiding under the cabin.
Is this...
Holy shit. Holy shit.
Oh no.
Who killed my mother?
Well, you know who killed Sophia.
Alright, let's take a look at this. Why was she killed?
I'm a little bit confused. I thought those 3 would be the ones. Like, he literally just wrote it in his own diary. It's those 3 who's responsible.
Why was she killed? Ah, I see that. That's the same swaddle that was in the box. The My Baby Boy moon blanket swaddle. Scott, I have so much respect for you, dude. I kind of wish that, like, we were Scott and that we were the protagonist of this game.
Oh no. I realized who I am from the moment I saw the photo. I have the exact same blanket. I know who my father is. Everything made sense now. I visited Andrew today. I needed to know where they hid Mom's body. He cried and begged me not to say anything about it anymore. There was no room for whatever questions I had left. I then told him that I'm the boy he gave Father Calvin to get rid of. He was utterly shocked. After that I left. I could not bear to look at him for another second.
Ooh, key. An old gate key.
Oh, that's for the mansion gate.
Looks like a music box key is attached to it. Andrew came to the cabin and told me where the body was hidden. He said he was sorry and left. Externally, I was quiet. Internally, I was sputtering and livid. After he left, I came to my room and cried.
April 4th, the well had dried up and was covered in moss. I wouldn't have known that the well even existed if I didn't work at the mansion. So they did bury her at the bottom of the well. I knew it. But then Scott... Oh gosh, he recovered her body!
I buried her in the cemetery next to Father Calvin. That was the new cross with the flowers.
Yeah.
Father Matthew visited me today. He said that he hasn't seen me at church for a while, that no one has heard from me in weeks. When he asked how I was doing, I began crying.
I just began crying. I told him everything.
I told him that I know Charles is my father. I confessed that I now knew that Trisha was my half-sister. I said I didn't know what to do now. He listened and didn't speak.
Scott did not realize what this meant to Father Brooks. Oh my gosh, it's Christmas. Another key. Wait, what is this? Okay, so that's when he figured it out.
Okay. Oop. The sewer? There's a fucking sewer?
Oh, I'm excited for that.
So he figured it out.
Oh, it says I found out who killed my mother. Maybe he did kill them. I bet he did.
When did he die?
I don't know.
Leave it to me to assume the worst of people, but what if...
Matthew is involved.
Yeah. But then, why would he be? That's the question.
Okay. Bit of a messy one this time around, wasn't it? I suppose it's only fair that I begin by asking of Act 2 the same things that I asked of Act 1. So, for starters, we are now 2/3 of the way through this mystery. Has anyone managed to solve it yet? Yes, one of them has now solved the mystery. Regardless of that target score I gave the game at the beginning, of having 50% of players solve the mystery before the end, it is entirely not ideal that someone should solve the mystery at the halfway point. Granted, the other investigators have not yet realized Matthew Brooks is the killer, but Dave is starting to pick up on him for having a potential motive related to Sophia's death. Discussing how I solved the mystery without sounding like a narcissist prick is a really difficult thing to do, but I'll try all the same. The thing which definitely made me sus of Father Matthew was learning about how he was very close to Sophia in the diaries in his bedroom. This was the thread that unraveled the whole story for me. This thread about Matthew being close to Sophia is also something that the Hunch Bunch and Ren saw, and from this, Ren picked up on nothing, and Dave became only a little suspicious. This suggests that the truth is not as obvious as I feared, which leads me to conclude we cannot yet call this mystery too easy. My early solution to the mystery seems to be an outlier and nothing more. Throughout the whole game, I've been throwing spaghetti at the wall, and now it seems to have finally stuck. So, apart from the mystery being solved early by one lucky duck, the sub-mysteries of Act 2 have been pretty successful. Not only have most of the players solved them at the appropriate time, but most of them have been satisfying in one way or another, while also succeeding in misdirecting the player towards Scott Brooks, the person who seems to be both Jen and Ren's lead suspect at the end of Act 2. Speaking of Scott, I am remiss to say that the most grievous mistake in the game so far is directly related to his story in this arc. Put simply, the Scott Brooks storyline contains a massive plot hole, one that you cannot unsee once you've seen it. Unsurprisingly, Jen was the only detective who noticed this plot hole, and while she didn't make a huge fuss over it, she certainly was deeply confused. So walk through it with me. In the basement of the hunting cabin, the player finds a diary containing Andrew Reed's confessions about how Sophia died. In this journal, Scott is directly informed that Henry, Andrew, and Vivian killed Sophia. But at the time of him hearing this, he doesn't know that Sophia is his mother. Because of that, it's little more than a sad story to him. But then, later on in the timeline, Scott finds a photo in Dorothy's house that shatters his worldview. It's a photo of Sophia holding a baby swaddled in the blanket that Scott had from his childhood. This is the moment where Scott learns that the woman Andrew, Henry, and Vivian killed was his mother. So, if Scott was directly told the truth of Sophia's death, and then later incidentally realized that she was his mother, Why on earth does he have a secret investigation room where he's trying to find out something he already knows? It's bad. Like, Kiari Mundi bad. When I spoke with Yoshi and Fairy about this plot hole, they owned up to it. It seems like some journals got moved around in the later stages of game development, and that the journal where Scott hears Andrew's confession was supposed to be in the secret room in the basement, not lying on a shelf in the open part of the basement. But even with this consideration, there still is a major issue, and that's that Scott clearly did not know Sophia was his mother at the time he learned of her death, whereas this investigation board clearly presupposes that Scott knew she was his mother first, and then began investigating how she died. Never again does the narrative of Painscreek struggle to get its story straight like this. Never again are there any plot holes. But damn, I would be lying to you if I said this was not a complete narrative mess. To summarize on story, it is my opinion that Act 2 is the low point of this game. Much of the narrative is driven forward by following keys and reading documents they unlock. And when the player manages to solve these sub-mysteries early, it makes for an awkward and slow crawl to a reveal they already knew. If it's of any consolation to you, I can guarantee that Act 3 improves upon many of these issues. So now for the next question I asked of Act 1. Are the players faring well with no hints? No, they're really beginning to struggle actually. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, as it's only really indicative of difficulty, but that doesn't mean it's a good kind of difficulty. Many of the things our detectives have struggled with are tiny mistakes with big consequences, like missing keys right in front of them, or failing to open all the drawers in a room. There is no one thing that has stonewalled all 4 players and required them to search a spoiler to progress, and for that reason, I can't just paint with the broad brush and say that Painscreek has failed at its goal. Especially not when Bardic Jen is still playing the game 100% spoiler-free. But Ren, the Hunch Bunch, and myself have all thrown in the towel at 1 point or 5. But the question remains, is this bad detective work or bad game design? I am easily the worst offender in Act 2 when it comes to getting spoilers. I played the first half of this game the way I was supposed to, and then I strayed from the fold. After spending 30 minutes looking for the hidden latch at the inn, I opened the floodgates and began inviting viewers to leave me hints and tips in the comments. This way, the next time I was to sit down and play, I would have a lead about where to go. The things that these hints ended up pushing me towards were always things that I would have probably eventually found on my own, like the code on the plane, Trish's second drawer, or even the dreaded tree stump box. Even so, I did have a longer and more destructive brush with the darts puzzle than anyone else did, one that ended with me getting frustrated and searching for a deliberate spoiler to progress. And surprise, surprise, I learned that I wasn't supposed to solve this puzzle yet. Worse still, I took the spoiler anyways. That's just poor sportsmanship. Elephant in the room, the design of this darts puzzle fucking blows. The only reason I'm not giving Painscreek an automatic fail for this is because 3 of the 4 investigators had the good graces to realize it was unsolvable and give up. Though I'm sure I'm not the only one out there who kept on trying and got burned. To summarize, the reason why I received hints for my playthrough can all be boiled down to one quality that makes me unfit to be a real detective: impatience. I was too impatient to take my time and examine the plane, I was too impatient to check both drawers, and I was too impatient to backtrack when I could instead just have viewers tell me what to do. That's some rookie shit, detective. The next cheater is Ren, whose offenses were lesser than mine. Ren went to a walkthrough and searched the location of House 7, which is 100% her fault. Everyone else found it, and it's also a side quest, meaning if she was somehow never able to find Andrew's house, she would have been able to complete the game without it. But I do find that I'm a little more sympathetic to the other hints Ren received. Being that she had a live audience, getting stumped wasn't just stressful, but also embarrassing for her. She didn't want to frustrate her live audience with a slow mystery that wasn't going anywhere, so after an hour of no progress, she opened the floor for them to leave pointers in the chat. This is, of course, antithetical to the Painscreek experience, but I still understand why she did what she did. And Dave and Tyler, God bless, were so determined that I almost feel like excusing the hints they received. They only got 2, and each time it was because they missed a remarkably small and frankly excusable detail. Like when they figured out the code to the safe was the date on the plane, but couldn't figure out the right date format. And then again when they opened Trish's locked drawer, but didn't realize the drawer beneath it had been unlocked too. God knows they weren't the only ones with that problem. Neither of the hints they received actually gave them some major disingenuous advantage in beating the game. They just cleared up perceived falsehoods that were holding them back. So, to reiterate, things have gotten pretty damn dicey with the game design of Act 2. Much like Act 1, it's more story-oriented than puzzle-oriented, but much of the story has been spoon-fed to the player by reading documents and journals. All that a player needs to do is go from key to key to key, and finally open the secret passageway in the basement. From what I recall of Act 3, this tends to improve a good bit. But at the moment, we are not firing on all cylinders. I do think it's worth mentioning that I learned from EQ Studios' book that they did have an oh shit moment late in development, where they realized the entire second half of the game was just a giant key hunt, which was not at all their intention. This resulted in a lightning strike change to the end of the game, where they ultimately overhauled and changed parts of the story and progression, so that the latter half would be more engaging. I imagine that the alpha version of Painscreek's third act felt a lot like the low points of Act 2, pinballing back and forth to unlock thing after thing after thing. If they didn't figure out how to rescue Act 3, there's a good chance I would have never made these videos in the first place. But now, who would I be to complain about these problems and not provide any solutions? We know Act 2 has problems, so now let's try to fix them. The first issue that I want to talk about is Trish's locked drawers, the issue being that one lock opens two drawers, which isn't very intuitive and results in many players not checking the second drawer. The solution here is super simple, just put everything in the top drawer. That way the player will find everything and not just be satisfied by one key and miss the rest. The same could and should be done for the drawers in the cabin, so that players won't miss the key to Matthew's room like Jen did. And then we have the dreaded darts puzzle, a solid 2 out of 10. My solution for this is very simple. You see this notepad right here that gives the instructions on it? Crumple it up and throw it away. Then, in Act 3, where the player finds a photograph of the dartboard, which the PI has for some reason, just write on the back of it, red score minus yellow score equals locked desk. That way, the players have all the information they need. And if they can't figure out what desk it's referring to, at least they won't spend 30 minutes punching the wrong code in. If a puzzle cannot be solved until later, there is no good reason to introduce it early. Doing so will only distract the player from what is important. And finally, there is the hidden panel in the inn. Even though this little puzzle was pretty frustrating in the moment, I actually really enjoy it in hindsight. It's an extremely simple premise. Something is hiding behind the desk, now go find it. To make things even cooler, it's worth noting that the player can actually find this latch early, if they either know where to look or are just lucky enough to find it somehow. This being said, I can imagine how this puzzle probably drove some people insane, despite it being fair in my opinion. While I think you could make it easier by increasing the hitbox on this panel to be larger, I do have another idea which I am more fond of. We've seen the whole hidden compartment cliché play out plenty of times in this genre, and in most of those instances, the detective finds the panel using the same simple method. A false panel will noticeably sound hollow when you knock on it. After the player reads the notepad informing them of the existence of this panel, entering the reception area could trigger a prompt mechanic to appear. When the player hovers over any surface, they should receive a prompt. Left click to knock. When they click, they hear a deep, thuddy knocking noise that accurately reflects the surface. But when they find the secret compartment, they should hear a soft, hollow knock instead. The difference can be subtle, but that should be all the extra help a player will need to find the hidden compartment. The best part of this solution is that the knock mechanic invokes realism, which is what the developers wanted to capture. Other comments on Act 2 and Painscreek as a whole. Now that it has actually been opened, I think we should probably take a minute to talk about the box. So throughout Act 1, I was pretty scared that the mystery would all come crashing down if a player were to open this box. As a writer, the idea of someone sequence breaking and solving the mystery too early is terrifying to me. But it seems like Fairy and Yoshi were much more blasé about this actuality. While neither one of them had something in particular to say about the box being opened early, Yoshi shared a very interesting story about a Let's Play he watched where somebody opened the safe behind the painting way back in Act 1.
I remember I was watching a playthrough of a player, and he basically stumbled upon some sort of evidence that related to Vincent. He kind of made the assumption, like he was thinking based on the relationship of the character. He said, you know what, I'm pretty sure Vincent is Scott, even though we had, at that point in the game, there was no clue for that. I think one of the passwords for the clue was Vincent's birthday. And so he says, So he searched actually information related to Scott and then found his birthday and put it into the key and unlocked it and found information way before. Watching that as a developer, I think that was I was smiling from ear to ear. You know, the world feels real.
While it's important to bear in mind that this player opening the safe was actual good detective work, and my opening the box was a matter of dumb luck, the sentiment still stands that anything is fair game in solving this mystery. As I've rewatched our brave investigators play Act 2, I am more and more compelled to see how Scott Brooks would make for the perfect red herring. If the game hadn't set him up to be the red herring right from the beginning. The story of Scott uncovering who his mother was and what happened to her is pretty intriguing, but the problem here is that right from the beginning of the game, the player is bombarded with newspaper headlines that literally say, "Everyone thinks this guy is the killer." Even a child playing a mystery game will understand that the killer could never be the guy who everyone says it is, not unless you work in some kind of crazy nuance, which this game does not have. Plus, Scott's tombstone is in the cemetery, which will lead the players to think he can't be the culprit if he's already dead. It doesn't kill the story, but I think the eventual reveal of Matthew being the killer would come at much more of a shock if you first removed a lot of the forced suspicion the world puts on Scott Brooks. Change it so that Scott was questioned about Vivian's murder, not that he was detained and accused of killing her. And get rid of him dying, too. I think it would play much better if you just left it at Scott vanished. Doing so would make him much more suspicious than the status quo does. On the whole, to successfully convince the player that Scott Brooks was the killer, you must exercise a primal rule of storytelling. If you want your audience to hear something, don't say it. Let the subtext tell the player he's guilty, not the actual newspaper headlines. And finally, I'm gonna have to put the devs on blast one more time tonight. At the very beginning of this game, Tyler showed us that the player can leave Painscreek and submit to the newspaper their story on who killed Vivian. If you do this right at the start of the game, you get an angry email from your editor, Richard Harris, where he basically says, "Did you make this shit up?" and then fires you. But what about when the player comes back later, after having found some stronger evidence? What about my scenario exactly, where halfway through the game I actually figured out who the killer was? To find out, I've booted up the game and created an identical playthrough to where I was when I made the realization that Father Matthew was the killer. And now I'm going to leave Painscreek and see what happens. Who killed Vivian? Matthew Brooks. What was the murder weapon? For the sake of this demonstration, I'll go ahead and just include the correct answer even though we haven't learned it yet. An axe. And submit a front page photo. How about the snapshot of Sophia's ghost? Now let's see what happens. Matthew Brooks killed Vivian with axe. And there's my photographic evidence of a real-life ghost. That should probably be its own front-page article, actually. But then, after some quick credits from the impressively small production team, the player receives an email. Are you sure you got your facts right? Of course I did, that's what actually happened. My report card says I only played 33% of the game, and I have a D for my detective score. So, I am now to understand that this is an actual ending to the game. Not a very satisfying ending, in my opinion. But it gets worse. Now I'm going to reload the save and leave Painscreek again. A commenter on the first part told me that when they played this game, they were pretty sure by Act 3 that Derek Tyler was the murderer, after some 11th hour evidence came to light. That sounds believable, so what happens if the player leaves Painscreek early and says that it was Derek who killed Vivian with a knife? Oh, it's the exact same thing. And then another email asking if I checked my facts right. And the same detective score, but I just published slander. Hang on, is there any quality control here at all? Dorothy Patterson killed Vivian with bat. Trisha Roberts killed Vivian with sword. Oliver Gibson killed Vivian with rock. These guys just publish anything. And how come there aren't any articles in this article? I'll stop being a prick now. As you can see, this leave Painscreek early mechanic is pretty undercooked. It basically has two modes. If you try to leave early, you get fired no matter what. And if you try to leave halfway through, you publish an article with the same feedback, even if you are correct. And then, if you play the game to the true ending, I'm pretty sure you get a more special, effortful ending that we'll see in Part 3. But that's it. This is such a cool idea for a mechanic, to pack it up and end the game early because you've solved the mystery. but there's just no incentive to it. It lacks the rewarding experience and satisfaction that much else of this game is able to deliver, and basically just says to the player, you should keep on playing to get the ending we put the effort into. To be perfectly honest with you, I'm not sure how you fix this one. Legitimately, turn this comment section into an open forum. How do you create a game that incentivizes the player to end the game early? Can such a thing even be done, or is it just inherently bad game design to encourage the player to quit? And for our final word tonight, I would like to share a comment with you that I received from this guy with a chainsaw. He says, I actually don't hate when certain detectives at times brute force something or see a pattern related to a game mechanic. Detectives use logical deduction, but many detectives also use things like getting a hunch, digging through trash, and checking every nook and cranny, no matter how unimportant it may seem. Even noticing the video game patterns, like what doors you can open, can be compared to the actual detective work. Seeing nonsensical patterns and using outside-the-box approaches to advance is something that Columbo would do. EQ Studios said that they wanted the Painscreek killings to be built on realistic detective work, but according to Guy with a Chainsaw, there is nothing more realistic about solving a mystery than exploitative and unconventional methods like digging through trash and searching nooks and crannies. So my question for you guys is as follows. Is brute forcing locks and recognizing hitbox patterns in this game real detective work? Or is it too meta for this realistic mystery sim, and was I right to initially discourage it? Despite some of the heavier criticisms I levied today, I assure you all again that the reason I critique this game is because I love it. I critique and tease our investigators for the same reason. Except for Tyler, whom I genuinely hate. I hope you'll forgive me for falling behind the deadline I gave myself for this video in part 1, and I don't want to make that same mistake again. So, as far as part 3 goes, I think it's best that I just say, see you guys in August. Until then, I hope you are as excited to see the intense conclusion to this experiment as I am excited to put it together. And this is where I'd put my patrons, if I had some! Stay safe, be well, and vote for Holt.